Good evening, A2D family. Thank you guys for tuning in to another Friday night edition of On the Road to Victory Live. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith. I'm joined tonight.
Look who it is.
Look at that. That's some timing right there, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a special guest, his first time on the Road to Victory, Mr. Pete Evans. Thank you for joining us tonight. We
What
also
up, Pete?
have Jake and Ralph, some gentlemen I love having on the show. A couple people like Tom, you guys are used to. We're not able to make it tonight. Maybe make a special guest appearance. But tonight's lineup, I am pumped about. We've got a couple things to actually talk about for once, so I am excited. We're going to be taking all of your questions and comments. So let's hear it, guys. Tonight's show is brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. He's our doc. Make him yours, Dr. Paul Vidal. He's in the Cherry Hill, Princeton, and Burlington locations. Find them at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Also, check out Ambuck Services. They're our gutter guys at ambuckservices.com. Also, check out Philly Drinkers, LLC, phillydrinkers.com for all of our A2D merchandise. Jake, where you at with that mug? Hey-oh.
Just pull it up last minute.
Got Ralphie with the hat. So you guys can check out all that merchandise. So thank you, guys. Oh, see, everybody's all pumped up. We're ready to go. It's a Friday night. We're pumped up, guys. So why don't you go ahead and say hello. Ralph, start us off.
Hi, my name is Ralph. I'm 24 years old. And Andre Dillard's already better than Jason Peters.
He's on that boat. He's getting the show started off. Throwing some haymakers, ladies and gentlemen. Throwing some haymakers.
I love it.
Pete, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up, everybody? Friday nights. I used to rock on Friday nights, man, for about 2 years. Philly Sports Guys. That was then. This is now.
All right.
So part of the BOAF fan, Birds of a Feather. I vehemently disagree with Ralph, as always. The only thing we have in common is pretty much our weight size at some point, which is dwindling on both parts. So we're both trying to get right through this pandemic. But man, just happy to be here, man. Friday night, it feels a little bit different, but it's like one of those pair of jeans that you haven't put on in a while. You used to fit into them, used to wear them all the time.
Well, they're gonna fit just right, Pete. Just right.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like how they fit, my friend. So it's great to have you on tonight. I know you said you might only be able to stay for the first half, but we appreciate you joining us for as long as you possibly can. But I love that you said, you and Ralphie, you agreed to disagree. That's what we're here to do, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Jake, why don't you do us a favor and introduce yourself?
Obviously, I've been on here enough, so you guys already know. Weekly roundup on Saturdays. Actually, we have a real big show tomorrow. Going to be talking about, obviously, all the craziness, which is the Washington Football Organization, or still technically Redskins. They're still Redskins on Twitter, so I'm going with that for the time being. No offense.
Nobodies.
No, however you want to put it. The whole mess with the organization and Dan Snyder and now Jay Gruden, and it's just going to be a whole mess. And we're going to discuss it tomorrow, so it should be good.
Oh, man, I'll tune in for that. I'm sure that will be a very interesting ride. So, guys, we're pumped up tonight. We actually got a little bit of news. We've been speculating on some things, and then, of course, last week we got thrown a little something with big news coming our way. Big news. Here it comes. So everybody's speculating. The big trades are coming. The clownies are coming. Everybody's coming on in. Well, we went ahead and did a move that we've been talking about for a long, long time, and that's Jason Peters. Now, one of the things we all know, Ralphie is a huge Andre Dillard fan. I'm a big fan myself, and I believe in him. But I also talked about the fact that without an offseason, you got to be careful because you don't know how the health is going to be for a lot of these guys. So bring in someone as a security blanket. Threw me a curveball, bringing in Jason Peters and telling us, hey, he's starting at right guard. Now, I understand that because it's not necessarily Matt Pryor's. But a little bit of a surprise for us all. That's not exactly big news for everybody. But, hey, it's a move we thought was necessary. We talked about it on Jake's show last Saturday.
Yep.
Got to interview Trey Thomas, got his opinion on it. The offensive line depth. We thought that was a place where the Eagles needed to go. So, Ralphie, why don't you start us off? What were your thoughts on the JP addition?
Well, the JP edition caught me off guard a little bit because, as the time went on, I was like, you know what, maybe they don't bring him back. Maybe they just go with Matt Pryor to start the year. test the waters out and see if they can grab somebody, off the market if something goes wrong with Matt Pryor at right guard. But obviously they brought in Jason Peters. Andre Diller's still at left tackle. That's fine with me, baby. The kid is still there at left tackle. But then you also got to look at the organization too, and it's saying, how do they feel about Matt Pryor at right tackle if you're just going to bring Jason Peters into play at right guard, excuse me. So it also shows that maybe they're not comfortable with Matt Pryor there. So that's how I feel about this move.
Yeah, and I knew you'd love it. I thought of you that day, you and Tom, because, we talk about this a lot. But, it keeps us happy. Dillard's still out there at left tackle.
Absolutely.
But we talk about it. Hey, are they confident with Matt Pryor? This shows us not so much. So You're getting a guy that's never played it down. We were talking a little bit before the show, and you made the statement, it's like if you're writing with your right hand your whole life, it's like starting to write with your left. I love that because, this is hard stuff. Trey Thomas talked about it, so pretty interesting that he's just going to start off at right guard. But in case something were to happen, you got Matt Pryor there. So he can actually compete. He has some competition other than, just Jack Driscoll, Suo Opeta, guys like that. So, a little competition there. And in case an injury were to happen, whatever, you've got someone there. Pete, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the JP addition.
So I don't feel as if this move is a slight towards Dillard or Pryor. I just think this is a move that they needed to make to add offensive line depth. I think they would have signed someone, and who better than JP. Now, it does concern me a little bit that him being taller at the guard position, that's not something that you generally see in the league. However, I would be remiss if I didn't. See, Ralph is a fan of Dillard simply not because he believes in him. He just doesn't believe in JP. Now, Jimmy, you may actually believe in Dillard's skill set more than what Ralph does. So Ralph's argument when it comes to JP versus Dillard is really like a foundation of marshmallows. You know what I mean? Or what the Italians call it, the ambrosia. The ambrosia dessert.
Great.
Wow.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. But I think it's good all the way around. It's a nice way to add offensive line depth once again. That's I think the key out of it. And I think the combination of Matt Pryor and JP playing the right guard position, that's plan A. And if something does happen, if Dillard doesn't live up or Dillard goes down, this just adds another piece to where you can slide JP right into the left tackle position, have Matt Pryor there. We've seen it. We played with 8 different linemen last year. Mm-hmm. So, and really outside of Pryor, and then you got Nate Herbig or Herwig?
Herwig,
after him. Mm-hmm. Then it's Driscoll, it's Prince. You got Malata. It's all first year rookies or reclamation projects or just projects in general. Don't get me wrong. I've been screaming from the rooftop that Jeff Statler is the best position coach on the team. Mm-hmm. So I really trusted and have faith in him. And if anybody can get JP right or get Matt Pryor right, I'm confident in that. This move definitely solidifies the offensive line depth. No matter how you look at it, no matter if you're a fan of JP, you're not a fan of JP, this move needed to be made. And it just so happens to be that where else can you add a future Hall of Famer who may be first ballot? Just gonna put I can't think in the last 10 years who a tackle that has had the track record that JP has had. You know what I mean? Obviously he gets the kickstart. Some may say he starts his little kickstart a little early. Sometimes he gets called on it. Sometimes he doesn't. But you're not trying if you ain't cheating. That's all. If you ain't cheating, you ain't try. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I definitely love the move as far as just the depth and it gives a lot of different looks. I'm interested to see how we see Lane Johnson and Jason Peters on that right side. I'm concerned. Pass blocking wise, I'm not concerned. Them two together, pass blocking wise, I love it. Run blocking wise, what we ask Brandon Brooks to do, pull, get upfield, it's a lot different than what we ask the tackle to do, who someone stays stationary or may hit the block and then go out. To where here, Jason Peters is going to have to hold his block just a tad longer, and being at the age of 38, I'm not sure. Yusef, he's preaching this. I don't know. You don't even know what your team is called right now, Yusef. Your team doesn't have
the nobodies, man. You're a bunch of
nobodies.
It's
just the WFC, Washington Football Club.
Yeah. Not even worthy of a name.
So, but that's my thoughts.
I love it, Pete. I love it. And, talk about it, it is odd. Peter's a taller guy, and actually Matt Pryor is a taller guy too. So I was actually really impressed with Matt Pryor when he first came out of the draft out of TCU with that size, about 6'7", being able to play tackle and guard. And I love that versatility. But do we really trust him as our starter? So you give it competition, like you said. We have depth there now in case there were anywhere. It doesn't matter where. If you get an injury, now you have some capabilities moving people around. So I love the move as well. Jake, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, with me, it was relatively around I think 9ish or around 10 o'clock. But it was before noon. I know that when the announcement was made, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, they really don't believe in Dillard. And then I saw 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, they're moving him to guard. I'm like, oh, okay. But it's definitely different. Obviously, you've been on an island pretty much your entire career since you made that switch from tight end to left to a Hall of Fame left tackle. So it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, and Trey Thomas said it best last week on my show, is that it's a bit of an easier position because obviously you have help on both sides. But it's really going to be interesting because, obviously he's used to doing everything from the left, and now he has to make that transition to the right, put his right hand in the ground opposed to his left. So, honestly, if anyone can really do it, obviously Peters has been in the system forever, but he made a transition from a tight end to a Hall of Fame left tackle. I mean, at this point, why not? He's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just add more accolades to it at this point. But Pete said it best, though. The one concern I do have is the run blocking, because you're not going to see Peters at 38 years old getting the secondary and do run blocks and stuff like that, or hit linebackers and stuff like that. So that's my only real concern.
I hear you. What's going on, everybody? Andy, you crumb son of a... I love it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I did want to say something. I saw Frank made a comment about hoping that wasn't the big news. Unfortunately, I had some inside information on that, and it was a couple days before, and he told me it was an offensive lineman. When that news came out, I had to ask, is this the big news? Please. And yeah, that was the big news. So we're going to take that into the actual full question, and that's inside information from Eagles beat reporter. So I'm telling you, unfortunately, that is the big news. Now, the question is, how the Eagles are, and how this, football works. Any given Sunday, but it's any given damn day with Howie Roseman when it comes to making moves. So the poll question was, are we done making major changes? Sure, we're going to make some little changes here and there. Alex Ellis cut today to bring Peters back, but are we going to make major changes, guys that are going to start or really make an impact on this team? So, Jake, why don't you start us off this time? We'll go backwards this time. And what do you think? We need some you see it in the comments. We've been talking each week, running back. Why don't you give us your thoughts on where we need some help?
I mean, obviously we need, and I saw a comment earlier, we need help at defensive end and running back as well. But again, knowing Howie, I can see it going one of two ways. Either Howie's kind of going to stay pat, but also I know Howie kind of tends to make moves till right before the season starts or right at the tail end of training camp. So, I mean, I can't give you a definitive answer, but I will say I think he is relatively done for the most part. You're not going to see anything crazy unless you bring in the free agent running back or something like that. It's not going to be a big name. It's not going to be a flashy name or anything like that, but I don't think he's done yet.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely. Pete, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the complete opposite of what Dillard is. When you go to the other side of the ball, the defensive line, I'm not a believer in Derek Barnett at all. Mm-hmm. Not 0.5%. So with me, it's really on how he's going to keep shopping. Mm-hmm. He's going to keep shopping no matter what. And he's looking for groceries. We always hear it. But the price on the groceries right now is just a little bit too much. And whether it might be too much financially, it may be too much years as far as a commitment, or it may just ruffle the wrong feathers. But if the opportunity presents itself, I think Howie would make a move. I think it could be a big move. I mean, could we be talking about Cloudy? Could we be talking about Ngakoue? Could we be talking about Jamal Adams? If the deal is right, I think Howie would jump on it. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily think that they're done. So I disagree. I disagree to the poll. But with that being said, I think that we definitely can't sleep on, obviously, someone like Everson Griffin. Thank you, Taylor. But also our financial cap outlook next year. Like, we're projected to be 50 to 75 million over the cap next year. So we always been saying that Howie is a cap genius. This is it. Like, this is Jackie Chan and Rumble to the Bronx final scene, and it's Jackie Chan versus 85 other dudes, and how he gonna get out. You know what I mean? So this is it. I mean, this is really. I'm interested to see how Howie gets himself out of this. But with that being said, for this year in this window, because you don't know what type of season you're going to have, how many games it's going to be, if it's going to have an asterisk by it, if it's even going to get us started, if it's going to have preseason games, if it's not going to have preseason games. We all saw J.J. Watt's tweet yesterday. They don't really know anything as far as players. So if Howie can do it, he'll do it. And you've seen it right now. We've seen it with Matt Pryor. If we had a full training camp, and we've seen it with Andre Dillon, if we had a full training camp, Jason Peters may not be here. They may feel more confident in Jason and running with Matt Pryor, even if Brandon Brooks went down, because they had these guys in camp and they could see the progress they're making. So vice versa, these free agents, veterans that are out there, if the price comes down for a 1-year deal for Clowney for like 15 million or 16, 17, 18 million, he may jump on it because that's a proven commodity. He's not always healthy, but it's a proven commodity that you're just making a 1-year commitment to, even if it's Ngakoue, if it's a third round pick and somebody else and a player, and he'll play this year on the tag, that's still worth it to take a chance and maybe let him go next year, because you really don't have the financial flexibility to do that. But you're trying to win it. You're trying to get Carson the damn Super Bowl so he can put this Nick Foles shit behind him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
you're
absolutely right.
Absolutely right.
Sure. Hey, well, Ralph, go ahead, man.
To the poll, I mean, you've always seen, I think what he's going to do is if there are training camps or if there are mini camps, you get the team in there and you go from there. Do I think he's done making moves? No, I don't think he's done. Because once he sees what the running back room looks like out in the field, he's going to be like, oh, well, got to get ourselves an actually second running back here and get the wheels going again. But for the poll, I don't think the roster is complete. I don't think he's done making moves.
Oh, I love it. And, I agree with you. We've talked about this. And, to Pete's point and Jake's point, all you guys, you had great stuff from all of you. Ralph, thank you guys. We've talked about where we're lacking and where, the years where we won the Super Bowl, where it was Chris Long, Michael Bennett, adding edge rushers, making sure that we got to the quarterback, doing things like that. So if you had one of these guys, Everson, Griffin, it would be wild for a unique Ngakoue, but, you never know with Howie. You never know. And I don't think Jamal Adams would be a trade, but once again, we'll say it again, you never know with Howie. So it's pretty wild. You talk about, the salary cap. That's something I definitely wanted to talk about. You see, we're down to 21.3 mil around now because of adding
Something like that, yep.
So
yeah.
There's still a lot of rookies that we haven't signed, especially our first 2 picks, Rieger, Hurts. So you got to figure a couple more mil there. So we're looking at, under 20 mil, around 18, let's say. Now, whatever cap you have, if you're signing someone else, that's going to affect because your cap will roll over next year. So that would be 18 mil you could take off of that 50. So that right there is a little chunk. So the more you do add this year, the less you're hurting yourself. So maybe that's something that kind of holds them back, I feel. So maybe not too major of a move like a Clowney. I think that might be too much money. But then again, like I said, there's things that can be done because next year when you're looking at that, you could cut Jeffrey and save 8 mil. You could cut Jackson and save 5 mil. You could cut. Obviously, Pete said he's not a big fan of DB, so if he's not doing well, he's cost 10 mil like that.
Yeah, and you can just let him walk to free agency and not pick up his contract.
Yep. So
another guy like Sidney Jones, right? If Sidney Jones doesn't, pan out to what he's supposed to be.
Yep.
Another guy that's coming off his rookie, he's got 1 more year left, same as Barnett. If he doesn't pan out to be, then you just let him walk and then just do it all over again.
So there's a few guys
around with the cap. But the whole thing with Clowney and stuff like that, real quick, is that I wasn't a big guy on Clowney. I really never was, just because of the fact that that if you look at his stats, out there, and he when he was with the Texans, J.J. Watt on the other side, but never could sniff double-digit sacks, which is insane to me. And he was always hurt, right? Always hurt. But in the NFL, you win up front, you win in the trenches, and if you can add another defensive lineman, a defensive end like Clowney, his caliber of play, for just a year, just to make a run for it. I mean, I'm all in.
I love it. And, I've said that before too. If they make that move, hell yeah, give me a premier edge rusher. I want to win a Super Bowl. So I'm not saying I'm not all for it. I'm just looking at trying to be the devil's advocate here. And I couldn't agree more with you, though. I'd be all for it, even with his cheap shot ass. But, hey, Prism, sorry, I forgot to mention about, Jalen Reagor. Hey, I'm a big fan. I could definitely see him making a huge impact on special teams. And Shaquan, yes, Howie likes to be cheap a lot of times. But then again, he surprises us. So, like Pete said, like Ralph said, you never know what's coming. And, hey, maybe we're willing to take that cap hit because we're trying to win now. And we don't know what the hell is going on with all this corona. So it's making things very, very intriguing to see how contracts are getting done and extensions. I'm sure you'll want to restructure Ertz or, maybe Wentz will or some, there's things you can do, but it's scary because I saw something earlier today that said they're talking about taking off $70 million from the cap. So we could have $120 million over. Like, that's not good. So no. I don't know, but I'm all for adding talent.
Real quick, Matt's comment here about the whole he thinks that the linebackers, in his opinion, need more help. And while we haven't been able, to at least stock up on linebackers, well, because the GM of the Eagles really doesn't care about the linebackers at all, and doesn't put stock in, and it sucks, Matt. It really does.
It does.
Because that's another position of that really has glaring holes in it, right? Yes. You have the guy from the Chargers we just signed. I keep on forgetting. Jatavis Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the only legit starter in that starting linebacker core. Outside of everybody else, they're just rookies or guys that haven't proven themselves yet. So you're really putting stock in Nathan Jerry, like to be something for the Eagles. I mean, I can't buy that. I can't do it. I just can't buy it.
It's that's a huge one. And those are the two positions we talked about, and we were talking about offensive line. It was 3, but now we're down to 2. Running back and linebacker. And I couldn't agree more with you. It's scary. You talk about Nate Gary. Oh, he's great in coverage. Couldn't tackle to save his life. You talk about TJ Edwards, tackling machine. Couldn't cover to save his life. Both have to work on things. So kind of scary. Bring in Jatavis Brown. The guy's got some talent, some starting capability. We'll hope he pushes these guys. But I love the draft pick of Davian Taylor. But the kid's young as hell. He's raw as hell. Maybe one day he'll be great in nickel coverage, but that does not help us right now. Sure, he'll be a special teams ace. I look forward to seeing that, actually. Maybe Duke Riley will step it up, and I don't know. But, yeah, it's scary. They're all like 25 and under.
But yet again, Jimmy, you're naming guys that haven't been proven anything.
That's what I'm saying, though. They're not. And it's scary as hell.
We traded Jonathan Cyprian in a 7th for Duke Riley, and he mostly played. He's
a special teams guy. That's all he is. That's what I'm saying. We got to get – I think Nigel Bradham would be the guy you bring back right now because I think he'd be someone that could the defense.
And that's why I disagreed with the poll because if once these guys are on the field and you see what you have, then how we can start making moves, Because he realizes that your linebacker core is absolutely pitiful, then Nigel Bradham's the first one you call. Because
I think a move like him and Freeman are very – very reasonable moves. I don't think they're huge moves that would be game changers. I think those are reasonable moves that wouldn't hurt your cap too much where you can easily make that. And I think it's a necessary move because I can't stress enough. We talk about it every damn week. So, Ralph, hell yeah, I get pissed off because it's like, look at that. They're all 25 years and younger. And it's like, you got Dante Olson coming, undrafted free agent. That's who. And Davian Taylor and Sean Bradley. You're shitting me. So we had an opportunity in the second round to get some damn good linebackers that you might feel comfortable. Like, he's a rookie, but pretty damn good linebacker. Nope. They jump and take in the third round, Davian Taylor, which, like I said, maybe in the future, but right now I don't see him. So, yeah, pretty scared about the linebacker position. Pete, what do you feel about those positions or any other position that you're looking at on this
team? If I had one linebacker to bring back, to be honest, it's probably going to shock the shit out of all y'all. I'll bring back Michael Kendricks over Bradham.
That's another name,
every day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Yeah,
I said that the other week.
That's a good name.
See, I love it. We're all agreeing on that. I love it, Pete. Great name to throw out there. Yeah,
man. Definitely bring him back over Bradham. I mean, it's just not something that Paletros and fire Brett Brown. Maybe in 6 weeks if they don't make.
We're already getting that. Come on, we're not even.
I'll tell you what's up with Jordan Hicks. He's an All-Pro right now for the Cardinals. It's honestly insane.
I got his jersey right there, and I'm pissed.
I don't know what it is about the Philadelphia sports teams and their medical staffs, because I mean he went out to Arizona, stepped into the fountain of youth, and didn't he almost lead the league in tackling? And he was like,
he did.
He almost
did. My fantasy team. It made me want to punch myself in the face every week.
Yeah, but no, I mean. When it comes to the linebacker position, it's two things. It's a microcosm of the fact that we have. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it,
Taylor. Thank you, Bob.
It's really Jim Schwartz's his scheme, and then the value that Howie Roseman puts on the linebackers. It's historically he has not put it there. And it's like if we find one that's a good one, I mean, we may trade for him, i.e., D'Amico Ryans.
There you go.
I mean, Bradham in 2017 was. That was a contract year. My man played himself into a contract, and then he wasn't the same. But it's just not something that they put value in. And then when you have Jim Schwartz's scheme where he doesn't ask his linebackers really to do a lot except for just clean up, it's not something that it's really the run is on the defensive line. But if the run is on the defensive line, it's really on the D tackles. And I mean, the last time I checked, we probably do have the best rotation of D tackles in the league.
Oh, that's right. Malik Jackson back, Adam Hargrave, Ridgeway back with Fletcher Cox leading the way.
Yeah.
And you say it, the emphasis on the linebackers isn't there, man. It's just not there. So it's like, but one thing we do see, I saw the comment about Jim Schwartz can only do so much. Well, the problems were we had so many injuries he could only do so much. I think I keep talking about this, dude. He's about to finally have a defense where he can move people around, and you're going to see some of the safeties, some of these corners playing a linebacker role because we play so much nickel.
Jimmy, how many times?
I understand you need linebackers
the league, though, dude. Because I understand Malcolm did it the last 2 years here.
Well, he had to. We were dying.
I understand that.
You can't do that.
But at some point, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, "Dude, I got to put stock in this linebacking core."
Yeah, I was hoping they would this year.
If you look around the league, top defense is always. They don't have to have two good linebackers. There's always that great good linebacker that a team has. That's everywhere. Everywhere.
Every year, I think we're getting one. I think so, man.
Every top 5 defense has that one or two great linebackers on their team that does everything. That you don't have to put a safety in the box or a corner in the box.
Yep. No, and here's the thing, Ralphie. I'm just trying to put things into context for some of the fans, but I couldn't agree more. Like, dude, I totally agree with you. Because the thing is, you can't be relying on some of these safeties and corners. You have to have them playing their position. You have to have – imagine what Ralphie just said. If you had a linebacker that held it down, you didn't need to do that. These guys could just play their damn positions. It'd be beautiful. So I think they're screwing Jim again and forcing him to do all this wild shit. You're going to see all these sub packages. And trust me, I'm pissed. But I am excited about some of the safeties that we have. I do love Kayvon Wallace, Will Parks. I think they're versatile guys. But, yeah, you needed to add linebackers. So I love what Pete just said there, trading for guys, how he's been known to do that. D'Amico Ryans, great point there. So maybe move like that. Jake, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, and me and Ralph, and I think pretty much everyone at A2D has been saying it for years, is just this, for whatever reason, we just don't value the linebacker position. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously we won the Super Bowl with not phenomenal talent, but you had Nigel Bradham who had one of his best.
He had a great year. He had a great year that year.
But it's just, but everything else around him, it wasn't that great. I mean, obviously you had Kendricks, and he was kind of here and there. He didn't make any major plays. He had an interception or two that season. But it's just one of those things. After the Super Bowl, it's just kind of like, meh. Well, Howie, I think we need to add a linebacker.
Yeah, it's not.
We're all right.
It drives you nuts.
Just think about this real quick. 2 of the 3 starting linebackers from the Super Bowl team are not even employed right now.
Mm-hmm.
The last time they were both in the same unit, what happened?
Yep.
Good.
Agree, Matt. Agree.
Yeah, I don't know. And we dealt with injuries then too. But once again, what the hell? If you know that you've been dealing with it for this many years, why the hell are you not putting any stock into it? It blows my mind, and I get pissed off every year because that second round pick, I was like, here it is. We're getting a linebacker, the kid from Wyoming, that Wilson kid. I was like, here we go, baby. Yeah. Getting a linebacker and a quarter. Huh?
So I don't want to go there again. That was
I don't either. I saw someone ask it earlier. What are we doing with Jalen Hurts? I don't know. Drafting him to be a backup quarterback to sit on the bench for all year. And maybe by the second half of the season, you'll see some trickery used with him. I'm sure you could. I don't think without an offseason, you're going to see much of him because they don't want this young kid getting murdered out here. This is the NFL now. So let's see what he's got first in practice, and we'll go from there. But he was drafted to be a quarterback because, remember, we are a quarterback factory. Go ahead and get your shirt at phillydrinkers.com. Quarterback factory, A2D shirt. I love it. But that's ridiculous. I mean, it pisses me off because you remember last week we were getting pissed off about J.K. Dobbins not picking him over Hurts. It's like we should have had a running back because you look behind Miles Sanders, there's nothing there. So same damn thing with the life. Now I'm getting pissed off. Because I literally said the draft day, I'm like, are you shit? Jalen Hurts. I literally was like, oh, my God. And I was live with, like, a bunch of people and everybody's watching. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to walk away for a minute. Like, I was literally, like, losing my mind, pissed off. Like, it took me. I was like, all right, they're going to make a third-round pick, and we're going to love it. So they're going to make everything better. And then it was Davian Taylor. I'm like, I can't. So it
was a bad first 3 rounds for the Eagles. I'll tell you that.
And you know I love Rieger, but after that, I was but luckily they fixed it the next day with Wallace. But, yeah, I was pissed off beyond. And I'm still pissed off because they're not making moves. And I don't care if it's Corona or whatever because you see people getting signed. You see things happening. So make some damn moves. Get a linebacker. Get a running back. Pete, I'd actually love to hear your thoughts on the running back position. I haven't had you on the show. I was mentioning last week. You know, we talked a lot about that. What do you think, Devontae Freeman? Somebody, the question was, how do you feel if Miles Sanders goes down? You know, Boston Scott leads the way. These guys going to be fine?
Well, I hope he does. I mean, he's in like every fantasy league that I have. He's a keeper. So
outside of fantasy.
No, I definitely don't want him to go down because I think he has top 5 back potential.
Oh, yeah.
But if he does go down, this is hypothetically, even if he has to come out and get a blow or two.
I hate saying that, but yes.
You can only use Boston Scott sparingly. I mean, who this helped the most was Corey Clement.
Yep.
It helped the most because once again, you can't get a look at these other guys. You can't get a look at Michael Warren hard through an off season. You can't get a look at what's the other kid's name?
Michael Warren,
Michael Warren, Killings to him. So you can't get a real hard look at these guys. Yep. That's where a guy like Elijah Holyfield is going to come into play because they've already seen him. He's been there. They signed to a futures deal, if I'm not mistaken. So that's where these guys with these rookies, and you talked about that 21 mil earlier because a lot of the rookies are still unsigned. That's where somebody like that, but you may be letting a diamond in the rough go simply because you haven't had the chance to take a look at them. And it takes a different type of dude with a different set to say, I'm gonna go with my gut over what my eyes have already seen. So if Sanders does go down, I'm not confident in what we already have because I haven't seen it. So, but I'm also not willing to I'm not sitting here saying let's go pay Devontae Freeman $8 million a year.
Yeah, no.
So all right, I'll say it like this: if we get the Corey Clement from 2017, there's really 2 players that are one's on this team and the other one's no longer on this team. That we would not win the Super Bowl if they didn't play in that game. That's Corey Clement, and Eagles fans and the fan base is going to hate to say this. If we don't have Nelson Aguilar that game, we don't fucking win. We don't win.
Yep.
That was his single best game complete, and he did it on the biggest stage. But with that being said, if we get that Corey Clement, obviously he's not a home run hitter as far as his speed. He sees his lanes. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, decent hands. Still no Miles Sanders. So with that being said, you still gotta go sign somebody, but who? Like who? It's almost at this point, like if they signed Devontae Freeman, we all 4 of us here and the fam at home knows we'll be overpaying. Because if it was a value already, he would be signed. They wanted Carlos Hyde. Whole hump. Do you all right? So riddle me this. Did Kareem Hunt get suspended again?
No, I don't think so.
No.
6th-round pick, 7th-round pick.
I won't be against it.
Oh man.
I
think it'd take more than that, but oh man, he's a pretty good running back.
I'll throw him a 4th or a 5th.
Yeah, but even a 5th.
I'll do it.
I don't know if they would do that. I think they're about to run that ball down people's throats and then bomb it right down their throats when they think they're running it with those two, because you've got nasty two combinations of receivers and your tight ends, man. They've got Njoku and Hooper.
I don't think is Hunt the number 2 right behind Chubb? I thought he had somebody else too. Is he the number 2 behind Chubb?
Hunt's number 2. Yep.
Yes, he is, because Chubb's number 1. Hunt's
number 2. That's quite the backfield.
Yeah.
We had a show last week. We actually talked about, a lot of the running backs that were available possibly for trade. We talked about, would we take some of those backs over our backs? So great name to throw out there, and there's some guys out there that maybe they would throw. Remember when we traded for Jay Ajayi? What that was like? It was like, what the?
Oh my God!
I trade for Jay? I was like, what? All right, Howie, you went ahead and now I'm not gonna kick your ass. And it's like he does that to us all the time because we get so pissed off at him. He makes such terrible mistakes, and a lot of times it's drafting. So, then he comes around, and it's the restructuring and the signings. But, I mean, it's getting old. I hate saying it, but I think Freeman, this guy's been saying and that was one of the problems. It's like he's been asking for so much money, and it's like.
He's been asking for that money.
You want to pay him that, dude? No way. And I think he wants the snaps, too. So he's not going to get that here unless something were to happen. I don't, and as much as we think we need it, maybe it's a lesser known guy, Maybe you're looking, and I've mentioned, just throwing names out there, the Buck Allens, the Theo Riddicks, things like that. But it's like, who knows how realistic that is? Because now you're just getting another third or fourth running back. And I think Corey Clement, like you said, if he pans out, he's the one competing with Holyfield and Warren. But there, it's like, okay, but I don't know, man. It's scary. I think a trade is a great idea, Pete. So,
what do you think of Philly's comment?
What was that? Bring back Kelly Green?
No. This is just question just now. Matt from Philly.
Would you go for Mostert? I really don't think so. We talked about that as well because, he's 28. He was already here before. There's a reason he's been on 7-8 teams. And, Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing running the ball. And you see how people like Devontae Freeman fall off when he's not their coordinator. So I'm not sold on whatever they're going to probably want for him. And he wants big money. So no thanks. What do you think about that?
Same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth. He's a system running back. I mean, literally, no bullshit. If the offensive line does what they need to do, and Kyle Shanahan calls a run play, and we need 5 yards, maybe not 5, but 3 yards, I probably can get 3 yards, at least 2 of them bitches before I get contacted, just because this is just running through wide open holes.
Right.
Obviously, Scangarella's kind of that zone blocking, zone running type of scheme as well. So, give you a name where Scangarella was at last year. This came to me. Out of Denver's backfield is crowded.
Yep.
Royce.
You got Melvin Gordon. You got Phillip Lindsay. You can go Royce Freeman.
That's who I said
last week. Ralph said, "Yep, exactly."
Yeah, and isn't the other kid there too? They drafted Freeman and they drafted another running back that same year. I want to say, is it Devontae Booker?
Yeah. Devontae Booker.
He went somewhere else now, though.
He's
somewhere else now. I can't remember where. But
I mean, definitely, I'll take a look at Royce Freeman. Definitely.
I love that you said that because Ralph literally said that last week, and Scandrello's who I brought up because you're looking at some of these relationships with people, that you see where it's like, oh, okay, well, he was with, and that's where we talked about the Ronald Learys and people because it's like you see that and they know a lot about him. And I love what you said there.
Right.
Scandrello with the zone running scheme, he's bringing that to this team. We're going to see Miles feast. Any thoughts on that? Do you want to throw in there, Jake?
Yeah, but with me, I'm with Ralph. I'd take that trade all day. I take that trade all day and twice on Sunday. But going back to the Raheem Mostert thing, obviously everyone's clamoring for him because he had that 200-plus yard game against Green Bay. No offense to Ralphie or Pete, but they could get 200 yards against the Packers in that game.
No doubt.
Yeah. The Packers' run defense last year, and we saw it when we played them on Thursday night in Week 4. I mean, their run defense last year for the Packers was horrendous. Yeah. Horrendous, and it was bad. Very, very bad.
Yeah.
True. And that's a great point. You could have ran freaking trucks through those lines. So I think people read a little too much into a couple games, and it's like that's why. Same with Boston Scott. I love the kid, man, but you're looking at a very small sample size, and I love whoever said it earlier. It's like. Oh, it was Pete, I believe. This is going to not bode well for some of these younger guys because they're even talking about before any kind of training or practice starts, it might even start off just 75 people. Some of these kids are never even going to see a field and they're going to be cut. So it's pretty scary. You don't usually see it like this, but yeah, people like Clement, guys like that are going to have a much better chance. So I don't really see us doing a Mostert trade, though. I don't. Ralphie, what do you think? I mean,
yeah, I don't think that's going to go down. Just like what Pete's saying, right? A guy that
like more like a Royce.
Yeah, a guy like a Royce Freeman. So I don't see that trade going down just because of the money situation too. Because if you do trade for him, he's going to want that big contract, right? And we already talked about the whole cap situation next year. It's not looking pretty. So I don't think that trade's going to go down.
Love it. Could you imagine if they add or take off 70 more million? Like we are so great point.
We're screwed if they do.
We're cruising for a bruising, brother. So that's a great point. And I saw the Steelers fan comment there about Zach Bond. Yeah, trust me, man. I was banging down the door for lots and lots of linebackers because I thought, okay, you know what? Last year they threw us curveball. We thought, no way they pick a running back at 53. They never put an emphasis. Then they take Miles Sanders. So I thought this year, all right, let's try to get that same juju. Like, no way we take a linebacker.
Right.
Jalen
Wink.
Right.
Like to this day. And people are like, oh, you can't still be pissed about it. It's like, fuck you. Yes, I can.
Right. Why not?
Like, you know what, dude? And I put into context that I don't care, that I think for the team what it means and what it's like. I'm not confused about it. I get it. They want a backup quarterback. That's fine. I'm still allowed to be pissed off.
Not with the 53rd,
exactly.
The second round, when you still have the legitimate first round talent still hanging there.
Trade up in the third. Trade whatever. You got to move. Nobody was going to take his ass. So I'm pissed. We talked about Dobbins. Now we're talking about linebackers. It could have been a freaking edge rusher. It could have been so many things. Corner.
I always love the people and, some of these, the groups that you say, and you're like, oh, well, you could just trade Jalen Hurts away. Well, if you look at the draft order, guess who was in front of us, dumbass? Jacksonville, and they didn't even select them. So if they really needed a quarterback, they could just select them in front of us.
Yes.
Instead of acquiring him in a trade.
Yeah, they traded him to the Jags. So I was like, exactly my thoughts. Yeah. I love it. That makes sense.
In front of us, they could have just selected them and not used any draft pieces.
Yeah, why don't I draft someone else and then I'll give away a whole bunch of shit for the guy? Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I love it, Ralph.
Makes no sense.
It's true. I mean, and you see a lot of stuff out there where you're just like, I don't know what's happening right now. Like I try to take everything, because everything I say, I tell people, it's like, we're in the off season, guys. Let's take everything we say with a grain of salt, especially these rookies, because every tape we've watched, everything we've talked about is all based off of what they did in college, which means absolutely nothing. I mean, it did to their draft status and all that great shit, but who cares now? You see Jason Peters, the guy we're talking about, that's an undrafted guy right there. Look how amazing he is. He was a tight end that moved to right tackle, then he moved to left tackle, then he got traded here. He's going to be a fucking Hall of Famer, like you guys said. It's like, doesn't matter, man. It's time to shine.
I agree with that, John. I totally agree with that.
John, it was one of the dumbest picks I've seen possibly in my 34 years of existence. I haven't ever been stunned where I was really excited. Okay, we have a really good chance to get a good player here because there is an assload. And I didn't even know at the time that we were into J.K. Dobbins. I just thought, could you imagine? You thought of all these scenarios where another receiver? Oh, another, all these things where you're like, the one thing I didn't think was a damn quarterback. To this day, it makes me want to jump off buildings sometimes.
I love the first sentence there.
I was going to say, I love the first part.
21.
Ooh. Now, then that's another thing. See, I'm a huge fan of Rieger, but I think you could have traded back. I think a move that I talked about was get a linebacker first, and then if you could trade up for Rieger, I thought that would have been a move. Now, I understand, and I sat here because it's like they already got him. Whatever. If they picked him at 21, they believed in him, and you guys know I love him. But, man, if you weren't going to take an effing linebacker in the second, you should have in the first. So, at some point there, that was also high on my list. And trust me, if we would have got Patrick Queen, I would have jumped through the roof because the same way I did for Rieger because I loved him too, and I would have been down with it. I really I knew they wouldn't put emphasis on linebacker. I knew it, man.
Think about this. Patrick Queen went to the Ravens, and then them bitches went back in the second round and said, "You know what? Let's go double down to get JK." Yeah,
they smacked us in the face. They pissed me off, and it's not their fault. They're always great at drafting. They're making I love whoever said it. Ralph here's the way. He's a Hall of Famer already. He's went to Baltimore. It's
that's pretty bad.
And on the bright side, we're going to have to see them both this year. So.
Oh, yes, and that's the greatest part of it all. Because you always get to get smacked in the face because you know those kids always go off.
Yeah, he does. He's got to come to the link. This is going to
Oh, we take on some of the best pass rushers, linebackers. We're going to get ourselves some tests this year, baby. We're going to be in for some brutal matchups. So I'm excited, though. I mean, I'm confident. What's going on, Taylor? Hey, that's what's awesome. I was not here, but I got to see some of their reactions, which are hilarious. So, Taylor, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all you guys for tuning in. Prism, Matt, everybody comment. And if I've missed you, I will try to see what I can and get back to you. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. That's what we're here for, man. But love it. Love what you guys are bringing to the table. You know, and the thing is, we talk about making changes, and it's like, oh, yeah, all these things are going on. How nuts is it that we're under the pressure that we need to do all these things? Training camp is supposed to be in 11 days. We're 11 days away, okay?
Yep.
And they just today started coming out with guidelines telling players and what they're going to do. Like, all right, guys, let's get real, okay? Yeah. Let's get real here. How realistic is it that we're going to have fans? Because we talked about this now, or we're going to have, like, I think about football, but what are the odds here, man? This is nuts that they're literally just now coming out with stuff. And you see players, you know, Richard Sherman, people like that, Malik Jackson calling them out like, bullshit, like, we don't know anything. So,
right.
You know, Pete, why don't you start us off this time? What are your thoughts on that, man?
It's a shame. It really is a shame. Like, these dudes, you had enough time. Everything was benefiting you when shit hit the fan with COVID. And you had a chance to see teams and leagues that were in season or getting ready to start, to see what kind of framework and outline they were putting together to get back on track. And then you come out and your prominent player, like J.J. Watt, maybe not so much by his play, but by his name, you see what he says, like, we still don't know this, we still don't know that. And it's like, what were you guys, like, what was the 32 owners doing? Mm-hmm. What were they doing for 4 months? What were you doing? Like, Roger Goodell set a mandate. This is why I don't want to get political and shit. So, but with Roger Goodell, anybody like that who has a commissioner, you just come in and you set a mandate.
Yep.
You just set what the bar is supposed to be, and then everybody else can work from there and kind of fill it in. So the commissioner draw the outline and leave it up to the owners and NFLPA to figure out some way to fill in the open area and then go from there. Like, this was like the worst rough draft of a research paper I ever seen, to say players with this or players with that. Like, we've been hearing high risk, and we've been beaten down: sleep apnea, hypertension, diabetes. If you have any of those things, you're a high risk. If you get it could be worse for you. We've been hearing that. The league's been hearing that. Why do you put that in the press release? They could have easily just said players with high risk symptoms or players that are at high risk with high risk conditions can do this. You didn't have to name them because we've been hearing those since March. But what this shows is you want these players to really go out like gladiators and where the fans in the Roman Coliseum, and just for our entertainment. Yeah. I get it. It is at the same time, but these dudes got a life to go to too. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's frustrating. It's a travesty. It may be worse than taking Jalen Hurts at 53.
It's right there, Pete. It's right there.
No, it is. It's terrible, man, because it's like we're all sitting here and, you know, a lot of us, you know, this is like a religion, man. Football is everything. So everybody's just chomping at the bit for whatever it is, you know, hockey, basketball. We're all into whatever it is. And it's like, look, I just need something back. And that's the selfish part of me. But it's like, you know, I want them to be safe. But they should have, like Pete just said here, they should have been making safety protocols and tell these people months in advance while everyone else in the world. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. It just seems wild. I mean, Jake, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think the likelihood of fans being here? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, just to kind of not even like a political thing, but we heard Mayor Kenny for us in Philadelphia. He said, "Oh, we're not going to have fans," and then not even 24 hours later, he's like, "Oh,
I'm
just going to leave it to the Eagles on that one." I'm like,
"Yeah,
what?" But get into the NFL, and pretty much I'm going right where Pete was. But my thing is, like, it looks like to me, after the NFL draft, Jimmy, it just looked like they all went on vacation. That's really what it says to me. They're like, all right, draft's done. Everyone at the NFL Network, do your thing. Everyone else can just go on vacation. Everyone just relax. It's like the best way I can put it, and Pete said it best with like a rough draft of a paper. I'll do you one just to kind of piggyback off that. It's like, so picture this. It started like this whole real thing went into effect in March, and then we got into April. The NFL draft kicked off. All right, fine. But right at the beginning of March, you had the professor or the teacher or whatever literally tell you, be like, all right, we have an end of semester paper. And they announce it the first day of class and whatever. Like, all right, cool. And mostly everyone will just push it off till last month or so and whatever. But no, you're that one stupid kid that went out partying and did all this stuff, procrastinated the entire time. And then you realize, you're like, oh, shit, I have like 10 days left. And I haven't even touched this paper yet. And that's what you see from the NFL. Not even just like NFL teams, but just the league in general. And it's why Roger Goodell gets just so much the criticism that he does. Like, I get he's trying to do stuff with social justice and whatever, and all that's fine. But it's like these little, what you would think, Jimmy, is common sense is not common sense for these people. It's absolutely amazing to me how this wasn't done earlier.
True. And that's the thing. It's like you have I mean, come on, man. We're talking about the NFL. And, it's very important to people. And they know that, man. And these people aren't just puppets. They are, like, they understand they're part of our entertainment, but they're human beings, So it's like, come on, dude. And you said it best, when you were talking about, I'm trying to report to people like, oh, this is what they're saying, man. Like, we're not having it. That's what they said. This is it. And then the next day, it's like, well, actually, you're exempt when you have 200. It's like, all right, dude. If you're not going to give us a straight answer, don't say anything at all. Because now you got people very confused and people are pissed. And it's like, man, we just want football back. So, I mean, I don't care. If we can have fans, I don't care. Just give me football, dude. But, yeah. I mean, I want to be there. But, Ralph, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, just the whole NFL and the whole confusion with fans being allowed in stadiums and they're not allowed to be inside the stadiums and stuff like that. It's just confusing, at this point. But like you guys were saying, you waited all this time and then you finally put out a memo 10 days before training camp saying what you can do and what you can't do. Not even 3 months or maybe, down the line.
Maybe 3 weeks.
10 days.
What a joke.
Yeah, and I'll raise you something to that point, Ralph. I saw a report yesterday that the Texans were telling their rookies, they're like, oh, if you're in the middle of a vacation or whatever, surprise, you have to report on the 20th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprise.
What are we doing? Like, honestly, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Very true, Matt. Very true.
Yeah.
Man has good crowd. How about it, man?
Yeah.
I love the memes you see where it's like some of these teams are going to be used to not having fans in stadiums. Yeah. Chargers would be one of those teams.
Yeah.
I loved seeing the Eagles fans take that over. That was awesome.
That was
I had a buddy that was in the Army, and he was stationed over there for that game. So he, posted all the live videos of them just straight, trolling the fans. It was all the Eagles fans took that place over. It was pure beauty. Kayvon Wallace. Well, that's the thing. When he was drafted, Brian Dawkins even said it. Look, don't put pressure on this kid. But, the kid kind of put pressure on himself. He's got Wolverine shoes. Right. He's got, whatever. But I like the kid, but, shit, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad juju, man. They watch it. So I thought that was understood because he was like, look, I understand that I was roommates with Brian Dawkins' son. I went to Clemson. I'm wearing his shoes. Yeah, I can see how we make a comparison, man. So you're getting people excited, and we just lost Malcolm Jenkins. So you know what I mean? It's when, that guy, that friend you have, he breaks up with a girlfriend, he gets a new one within a couple of days. He's like, isn't that the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life? And you're like, well, I know you're lying. You're like, you're just trying to cover up for what's actually happening here. That's what we got happening here, guys. I'm afraid. But Kayvon Wallace he's a pretty young man in this defense, I will say. So I think he's going to work out. But that's how you replace someone like Malcolm Jenkins. It's not just Kayvon. He gets to learn from someone like we talked about that should play safety. Jalen Mills finally playing safety. And bringing a guy like Will Parks. And you brought back Ronnie McLeod. So I'm not ready to jump off of Kayvon Wallace before I've even seen him. But, yes, he has very high expectations, and I do not like that. So let's all together try to pump the brakes on that. That's actually a great topic. So, Ralphie, why don't you start us off this time? What are your thoughts on Kayvon Wallace? High expectations? Going to live up to him?
For a rookie, I think, he's going to get his shots here and there, but I seeing him on the field, 95% of the time is not going to happen. I think your two starters right now are obviously Jalen and Rodney, and then, let the season play out. If he starts getting better, in the training camps, mini camps, preseason, and and just normal practices, then I can see him getting more time on the field. But as of right now, your two starting safeties are Rodney and Jalen.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. And they're going to be able to teach these guys, especially with back to the point where Pete made. We don't have an off season here, guys, so it's going to be tough. So I agree with you 100% there. Those are your starters, but even a guy like Will Parks, he's someone that moves around. He's versatile, so he's going to help him. Teach him be the guy that we hope. I think more than anything, we hope for him to be more of Malcolm Jenkins. You want him to play that versatile guy that can play nickel, linebacker, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, I believe in him. Thank you, Bailey Walden. I can be a fool, that is for sure. And Matt, no, nobody is Brian Dawkins. Nobody will ever be Brian Dawkins. He's my favorite Eagle ever, one of the greatest I will ever probably watch in my life. So hell yeah. What are your thoughts on that, though, Pete?
I like Jalen, the safety. Rodney, the safety, I think is very underrated. Kayvon Wallace, we kind of hear the hype. And it was put on him. And then he kind of put some more on himself.
Yeah.
We talked about the 6 degrees of separation. Obviously, Wolverine, Clemson, rumor with Dawkins' son. We had to see, like you said, they went out and signed Will Parks as well. So the safety room can kind of get a little. It's a little crowded. It's a little clustered. So do I have hopes from yet? Do I think the expectation of him is unrealistic? I think he's actually in a better position than who I think we put the most expectations on. Who we need to be good from day one right away, and that's our first round pick. Like this kid has to come in, and he has to be on the money. There isn't even if the people who don't believe in him. But for what the team needs, like I don't need Kayvon Wallace to be a hit right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I need Jalen Reagor to be.
Oh, I hear you there, no doubt. I think we'll be all right there. Yeah,
but I think both of them will be all right. It's just obviously what the safety position is now. Like even if Dawkins was to come into the league now, he wouldn't have the impact now.
Yep.
The way the safety position is played.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully Kayvon Wallace isn't coming into the game with that type of mentality. I know he likes to hit. He can stop the run. He's not afraid of tackling. And hopefully, if that's the case, we put him on Darius Slay's side. Yes, I said it. My man don't like to get his uniform dirty. Just let that be known. Mm-hmm. So, but he has those other guys he has to get. He does he want to though?
Yeah, that's true. I think he will on this team, but yeah.
But with Kayvon, I think the expectations are high, but he benefits from having the time. Now, if he comes on the field and he bites from a double move and gives up a play action pass touchdown to Scary Terry or something like that, then by all means, I don't really care who you are on this team. The fans are going to boo you. You know what I mean?
It's
how you bounce back from that. Do you have that swag that you can take from a Jalen Mills to get up and finger wag, even though you be getting dusted for 2 touchdowns and you break out 1 pass, but the other 8 got completed on you, but you still doing the finger wag. I get that. You know what I mean? So, me personally, the safety position, I think we need one more, and I think we have a corner on this team that be better suited for a safety, possibly even more than Jalen Mills, and that's Sewell. But that's just me. Yep. I've been on that train for
me and you both, Pete,
for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have faith in him. Period. I don't think.
I just like his hands, man. His hands, like he like Jalen Smith Jalen Mills may as well have boxing gloves on for hands. Mm-hmm. I don't know what interceptions does he have. It's probably his career interception stats probably are less than 5, maybe less than 3 career interceptions for Jalen Mills.
Well, I know Rasul Douglas played like 57% of the snaps last year, and he had 10 pass breakups. Then you look at a guy like Sidney Jones; he only played like 29% of the snaps, and he actually had 8 pass breakups and 2 interceptions. So I'm loving Sidney Jones at corner. So maybe you do have to move Rasul, give him a shot somewhere else. So I could definitely see where you would want to at least give him a shot. I've always been on the at least giving him a shot train, but he has definitely struggled. But we've got some corners now. We've got some safeties. We've got some competition. You know, you look at behind the safeties we talked about, you have guys like Rudy Ford, Marcus Epps coming back. You brought in undrafted free agents like Elijah Riley, and then that Graylin Arnold, another guy. So they're going to compete. You're going to see what's going on. Jake, what are you thinking about the safety position there?
I really like the safety position this year, but again, I just being an Eagles fan, it's not going to stay Rodney and Jalen. Theoretically, hopefully not. Fingers crossed, but just based on these last 3 years with injuries and stuff like that, or God forbid the number 2 cornerback position doesn't pan out. I can also see Jalen going back to the number 2 corner and that whole thing, and you give Kayvon a spot or Patrick. There's a bunch of what ifs. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen. I mean, I'm confident, but it's just having that depth in Jalen Mills that's been there. God forbid if the cornerback 2 doesn't pan out.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. That you could definitely see some moving around, but at least we have that versatility, guys that can move around. We talk about Avonte Maddox being able to play maybe that cornerback too, challenge, and at least get some snaps at the, you know, if you want to call it nickel corner, because you'll have Nickel Roby-Coleman holding it down. You'll have Crevan LeBlanc. So a lot of guys fighting for snaps here. We love it. You know, at least we have some competition, but huge question mark there. And you kind of mentioned it. So why don't we just start talking about that? But, you know, that number 2 spot, like, it doesn't seem like any of us are very confident in Rasul Douglas. You know, I saw somebody saying they hoped, Taylor, you know, that you hope that Sid gets, you know, his confidence back. It looked like he looked pretty damn good at the end of last year, but small sample size, you need that for a full year. I just mentioned he played, like 29% of snaps. That's not good. You know, you want him to actually play the damn game. So if you're going to be our number 2, brother, you better step it up. So why don't we talk a little bit about that cornerback number 2 position? What do you guys feel about that? Ralph, why don't you start us off with this one?
Well, if you look on the other side, you have Darius Slay, and your confidence is really, really high on Darius Slay, some guy that can just go on his own island. You don't have to worry about him for, you know, the 60 minutes of the game. Then you look on the other side, and you have some question marks, right? You have Sidney Jones, a guy that was drafted 2017, a second-round pick, would have been a top 10 pick if he didn't tear his Achilles. And for a guy that's coming in and really hasn't played up to par, right? A guy that you had high hopes for, came in, hasn't done enough to make you go, all right, this is the guy for the future. This is the guy that I need for my outside. Right. I let him do whatever he wants. No pressure on him.
Yep.
Can't do that. You can't do that. But and we said this on Wednesday night for one of the pressure guys on the Eagles this season, and I put him on my list. This is a pressure season for Sidney Jones, right? He has a contract year. And he's got guys behind him, and Avonte Maddox and Crevan LeBlanc that's gotten snaps over him and have done it in the league. It has done it and have been proven.
Exactly.
So, to me, I hope Sidney Jones can get it together, because at the end of last year, those 2 games, he won it. He won us the Giants game, and he won us the Cowboys game.
How about it, man?
Which is insane, right? Thrown into the fire.
And that's what you want to see, yeah.
Slant across the middle, batted that away, and then the deep post route to Michael Gallup in the end zone and batted that one away to win it. So hopefully he can take those 2 games and lock in for the full 16 games, and let's get this thing rolling. But to your thing, number 2, still a question mark. A question.
And I think one thing we all agree on, though, is that's something, you know, I don't think we need to add anything to. We actually have some damn competition there. So that's good. So at least we're talking in-house, right? Because we all know that has been one of our biggest issues. Darby and Mills getting burnt like toast every day. So it's been tough. Whoa there, Joseph. Let's calm her down. I think that, you know, it might be a question mark, but it's not a weakness. I think that he's going to be a great left tackle. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. And once you get to see that, you'll understand it. But we talked about adding depth. We wanted that. But Andre Dillard, not a weakness. I think the offensive line as a whole, depth was a weakness. Not anymore. Right. JP, man. So I loved that move. Maddox and LeBlanc, dude, yeah. And you got to think about what Jim Schwartz is finally going to be able to do with the sub packages, moving guys around. You know, having a guy like Nickel Roby-Coleman, like, okay, well, I'll just call him starter. And then who cares what you call Avonte Maddox or Crevan LeBlanc? Move these guys around, have them covered running backs, linebacker. how they match up against smaller wide receivers, whatever it is, you finally have a chance. And maybe Rasul steps it up and he can cover some of these bigger guys. So that'd be nice, right? You have all kinds of corners, different toys to play with, move people around. That's my dream. I think Jim Schwartz has been like, people are calling for my head left and right. But if they, if you're playing with Madden, you got like 62 rating on your corners, these guys can't cover, a 5-year-old kid. Like literally, what are you supposed to do? So he had to play 10 yards off a lot of times. I know a lot of things were iffy, but I understood it. It was rough to watch. LeBlanc picked threes. Oh, yeah, man. Go ahead, Pete.
So that comment, LeBlanc caught it. But listen, man, you are not going to find a bigger Drew Brees is overrated like a motherfucker than me. I am the captain of that ship.
Sean Payton's a good coach, man. So the two of them together. Yeah.
If you put Sean Payton and Aaron Rodgers together, they may have 6 rings. Hands down. They have 6.
It's a great point. You'd think they'd have more Super Bowl rings, so no doubt.
Yeah. To speak to the number 2 position, the number 2 DB position, the one thing we don't give, Sidney came in with a lot of press.
Oh yeah.
A lot of hope, a lot of expectations on his shoulders.
Yep.
You had a kid who had never been hurt before, got hurt right before the draft, and it's an Achilles, which takes you a good 12 to 18 months to bounce back from. Tries to come back. His teams win the Super Bowl. Now we're expecting you to be the guy, step into the number 2 role. Then your hamstrings is not right for. He's like, so this is like the true first off season. What now? 3 years.
3 years in, exactly.
Yeah.
From the Achilles.
Really?
And it's like no hamstrings. You had a full off season to get healthy, get your mind right, and now you have positive memories that the tail end of last season. So I get it, Avonte Maddox. But if you have my choice, I'm taking. If I can get the Sidney that I saw out of Washington, get me Sidney and Slay. You can do whatever else you want.
Yep.
You can do it. Listen, Avonte and Maddox come and be serviceable. That's the one thing we do as a fan base here. We always want to give it to the guy that plays hard, is durable, may not have the best talent, but gives you his all.
The Philly guy.
Yeah. Avonte Maddox isn't breaking that pass up in Dallas. Avonte Maddox isn't breaking that pass up in
I'm with you, man.
And guess what? In Green Bay, Devontae Adams was cooking Avonte Maddox.
Yep.
And Avonte Maddox was healthy.
Yep.
Avonte Maddox has been I know he missed a couple of games. He had that one bad hit, but we're talking about just raw, natural fluidity and playing the DP position. And Sidney is that guy. So for me, it's his to lose.
Yeah.
But we've seen Jim Schwartz get in love with his players. And when he loves his guy, it took him 3 years to get 4 years to rule Jalen Mills the safety. We've been saying that.
Yeah.
We haven't been saying the safety, but we're like, this dude can't play corner. This dude, he's not fast enough to be a corner.
Yep.
He's not fluid enough to be a corner. We were saying that 2-3 years ago. Now Jim Schwartz finally did it. So hopefully, 2 things. Sidney comes in, he takes the job, and then Jim Schwartz trusts him. If he can earn Schwartz's trust, that'll go a long way, because as a DB on the field, knowing that you're on the island and knowing that you have a guy on the other side that's an all-pro, so chances are they're going to be coming more at you anyway, and you know that it's okay if I make a mistake and I'm not going to get yanked right away. That speaks volumes to a player's confidence.
Yep.
And another thing, real quick, what Pete was saying about, maybe 3 years down, 3 years, in the past about, maybe we've been saying moving Jalen to safety and stuff like that. In those 3 years, maybe the Eagles were thinking the same thing, but then but you look at Sidney Jones and you're like, dude, this dude can't stay healthy. So why are we going to move Jalen to safety?
Exactly.
If we're just going to keep on bringing him back to corner, because Rasul's down a week, Sidney's down 3 weeks. Avonte's banged up. LeBlanc's got the foot injury. So at that point, the Eagles were just handcuffed that they couldn't do that move, right? Now you look at this year, thank God, everybody on the cornerback position is healthy. So now you can make the move, and you have a little bit more depth there to make it.
Exactly. And this is exactly what I've been talking about for a few years. So I love hearing that from you guys, because it's the obvious move. But like Ralph just said, sometimes you can't when everyone's decimated and you've got 18 different starters on your quarterback secondary.
You can't do anything. You're stuck, and you gotta eat it. You gotta swallow the pill. You know?
What's going on, Gavin? Yes,
Gavin?
Love it. Thank you for throwing that out there because that is exactly how it was. Maybe they did want to, and I'm sure they wanted to, but when that's your other options, you're dealing with Craig James. You're dealing with guys that aren't starters.
Guys that came in to be a camp body.
Yep. And now they're starting.
Like Orlando Scandrick.
Now they're starting.
5 weeks into the season, he's back. He's back in full uniform, playing Sunday night against Dallas and getting absolutely torched. Right, a guy that can't play in the league anymore.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or don't, he can't play in the league no more.
Yep.
And another thing about everybody's saying all last year and 2 years ago about how Jim Schwartz doesn't blitz enough, right? Well, the reason why Jim Schwartz doesn't blitz enough is because you don't have corners that can play stay with their guys long enough for them to blitz. Yep. So that's why you didn't see blitzes 95% of the game, or even at crucial moments. You didn't have any corners to play man for more than 2 seconds. Yep. So you had to play zone. You had to.
And when people are calling for his head last year, it's exactly. Thank you. You have to show people. It's like, look, man, look at what's happening. Are you telling me that you're going to feel confident blitzing people? Because then you're just going to get burnt every play, and then you're going to be even more pissed. Trust me. Mm-hmm. You think you're pissed about this 10-yard gain? The other option was going to be a lot worse. I promise you. Because every time Mills gets burnt, you're mad. Imagine that every play. Because they can do that if you wanted. But that's what we talk about. Jim being very limited, man, and that's with who he has starting, what call, play calling he's making. So it's tough. Jake, did you get to go yet, brother?
No, not yet.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
And I'll be really quick with it. Like my big thing is with the cornerback position this year. Obviously, Jim Schwartz has his guy, right, and Darius Slay, so that helps. And plus the D line, it's not I don't think it's as deep as it was in 2017, but it's close. I think it's close this year, so that you have
if we're healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So you have that symbiotic relationship to where if the D-line gets pressure consistently, the cornerbacks, it makes the job so much easier for your corners. So
if your D-line, they always say if your front four is great, your back, your secondary is amazing.
I almost emphasize the pass rush as much as running the ball.
And that's a true statement. Look at it. It's a true statement because Byron Maxwell got paid. Okay.
Yeah, right.
How about it? But look at it. How we got that Super Bowl trophy was getting to the quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how anybody does, man.
Their front four was amazing that year.
Yes, and we need that again. And we have to rely on these ends, but at least the D tackles. Whoever said that earlier, we got the best D tackle rotation in the game. So hopefully that makes it easier on the ends, makes it easier on the corners, makes it easier on the linebackers, makes it easier on Jim Schwartz to the blitz. We hope that a good offense actually, with Carson with some damn wide receivers, makes it also easier on the defense. So all these things coincide, and all these things hopefully make this team a much better team. I still can't believe we made the playoffs with the team we had. So I'm still excited about this, but with this damn offseason, man, it has made it like it's so hard to even get excited because you're like, I'm just trying to be happy. And we're making videos every week. Like, screw you, man, why are you making videos? And it's like, I don't know, man, you were just not talking about sports. Like, Right.
It's like one day we have it, and then the next day, like I went from we can have Super Bowl, we can have football in September, and then a couple of days last week, I'm like, dude, I don't even know if we're gonna. I think I said it on Tuesday on Birds of a Feather Tuesday. It's like, I don't even know if we're gonna have a season because people just can't. People just don't listen.
Yeah.
You can't.
Pretty much.
I don't remember in science class ever telling my teacher fake news. He was like, you know what, dude, A+, you're good, man. Have a good one. It's like that's not science.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like okay, so it's not real, it's real, and then it's like it's such a fluid situation. But you said defensive line Super Bowl. That all was well and good until what Pat Mahomes did last year. I need Carson went somehow, some way to go sit down in Kansas City and just let some of that rub off on you, brother.
Hey, I think he's gonna be.
Yeah, both of y'all got red hair. Mahomes and Wentz both got red hair. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure Wentz likes ketchup on whatever various carnivorous meat that he's eating that day because he hunts whatever. Just let it rub off. Just because if our secondary is trash and our defensive line may not be as good as it is, but if you can just throw the ball up Wentz and just make chicken salad out of chicken shit like you did last year, just on a different level, and take us to the Super Bowl
if they're healthy. We have to always say that.
And that's the assumption. And they can catch the ball, and when it's starting, they get lost in the lights.
Do you remember how many times we had to talk about that? Listen, God, God, having to say those words.
Real
We could just
quick.
catch.
Real quick before we move on to the other thing, just going back on this comment right here about your top 10 D line production allows you to have average linebackers, we'll just have good tacklers and drive stoppers in the middle of their day. But then if you look at the Eagles, right, your front four is great, right, and if you can get like a guy like Everson Griffin or Clowney, right, you can probably bump like a Barnett to the second rotation. So then your second rotation's a little bit tighter and a little bit better than it already is. But then if you get past them, your linebackers are weak, right? And we have two guys in this division that run the ball 30 to 45 times a game, and that's Barkley and Zeke. So if it gets if you get past the D line, you got the shot to the end zone almost every time, right? Because I'm picking. I hate to say it, I'm picking Zeke over Sean Bradley, right? Any day of the week.
Any day of the week.
Well, TJ Edwards is a beast, but the problem is he can't cover, so it's a liability.
That's another thing.
Liability.
Are you picking Zeke or are you picking Nathan Gary? Who's making the first man miss?
That's
right? You picking Barkley or you picking Sean Bradley? So it goes hand in hand with
like
that.
you said earlier, if you're not going to pick one guy that can do all those things, you're screwed. You better have three guys that can at least do some of these things, and we don't have that right now. Sure, TJ Edwards can tackle. Sure, Gary can cover a little, but it's like you need to be able to do all these damn things, or you're going to get ran the hell over. You're going to get thrown on. So, yeah, I'm with Ralph. I get pissed off every time I talk about the linebackers.
As much as I could say no to this, it was.
Suarez, you missed it earlier. I was saying earlier, I unfortunately got this news and I had to ask an Eagles beat reporter. I was like, "Is this the big news? Please tell me it's not." And yes, it is. So don't get your hopes up. Ask Ralphie, ask Jake, ask Pete. We're not necessarily done, and I agree with that. The Eagles can definitely still make some moves, and I think it's a very high possibility. We're not the only ones sitting here being like, "Oh man." I mean, I'd hope not. If something were to happen, or all these positions we're talking about, man. Come on. And I think maybe Prism made a comment earlier that was about, Deron Lee, something like that. We're all for that, man. Adding, and not necessarily just Deron Lee, but, there's guys like Mark Barrett. We talked about Michael Kendricks. We're throwing names out there because clearly we are very interested in adding a linebacker. So
this would have never been a problem, Jimmy, if you should have just listened to the fans, okay? This is how it should
always listen to the fans, damn it. I also saw somebody's comment. I think it was Brian, something about Craig James at corner, and he threw a little something. I was dying. I was like, that's so funny. Because I was like, really? Craig James. Guy couldn't make the Vikings beat out Trey Waynes, but he could. All right, he's starting for us. Here we go. That was beyond rough for me, and it still tastes sour in my mouth, man. I'm going to be real with you. Mm-hmm. Are there any other positions where you think maybe would be a wild card, Pete or Jake? Why don't you start us off with this time? Maybe there's a position you feel that maybe people haven't been talking about, or somewhere you haven't been talking about that you would address, or a player that you'd like out there maybe you would talk about.
I think the big question mark for me more than anything, and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I'll talk about it again. For me, it's wide receiver. Just because you have so many guys, so many young guys coming in, you're not going to have a training camp, and more likely than not, you're not going to have a preseason, which hurts all these young guys coming in. So obviously, people that are expecting a lot out of like your CD Lambs, your Henry Ruggses, your Jerry Judys of the world, obviously they'll get their playing time, they'll get their catches, they'll get a couple TDs, but they would be so much more productive, obviously, if they had their preseason and stuff like that. And then again, you also have, this is another thing, you have Alshon Jeffrey probably starting on the PUP list until probably week 7, week 8, or whatever happens.
Question, yeah.
So it's just, and you have Deshaun Jackson coming back, which is fine, but how long is he going to stay healthy? And then Jalen Rieger, like, I love the pick. You and Chuck's kind of both warmed me up to it, but it's one of those things where we don't know what he is. It's a lot of unprovens. It's a lot of question marks.
For sure.
The only one that's really not a question mark, and you know who he is Greg Ward. Like, you know what he is, and he's not going to be a world stopper for you. He's not going to be a game breaker. He'll get you catches and keep the chains moving, but other than that, he's not going to transform an offense. So there's a bunch of things that really scratch my head and concern me about the wide receiver position, especially if we don't have a training camp or a preseason this year.
I love it. And, you can dress things up and make them look pretty, And by the way, Brian, I know you were being facetious about Craig James. That was just hilarious, so I had to point it out. But, yeah, Jake, to your point, the wide receiver position, man, I totally get where you're coming from because, you can dress it up and be like, oh man, we got 14 guys competing. That's great. We got receivers now. It's like, yeah, you've got a couple guys at the top who are injury prone. And then after that, you have a couple. Greg Ward, sure, showed a few good games. I like the kid a lot. JJ Arthega-Whiteside, I still believe in him. I hope Aaron Moorhead helps him out a lot as the new wide receiver coach, but very questionable. After that, you're telling me you're just going to rely, oh, well, you know what? They're fast. We brought in Marquise Goodwin, Old Man River. He has Olympic speed if he can play. Deshaun Jackson, fast as hell if he can play. Alshon Jeffrey, like you said, that's one of the biggest question marks. Does this guy start on the PUP list? Do we give some of these young guys a chance? The Hightowers, the Watkins? I don't know, man. So I love it, man. Maybe bring in a veteran. But, it's slim pickings out there now. You missed out in free agency and everything else. But, yeah, it's a great question, man. What's going to happen? Is Alshon going to be ready? So I'm with you, man. There's a lot of unproven people and question marks there. So, Pete, what sticks out to you? Where's a position maybe you think people aren't looking at that you think we should be?
Oh, DN all day.
Oh, dude, I think so too. Yeah, any other other than D end or linebacker? I mean, because I'm with you, brother. D end. That's something. Sure. That's the thing. You haven't been on the show the past couple weeks, but I think we have just been kicking down the door on the fact that because I love Chris Long and Michael Bennett. When we brought them in, it was like, look, these guys aren't coming in here to be starters. They're older, but they're getting limited snaps and they're coming in for that pass rush, man. And look what it did. Look what it did. It made Derek Barnett better. Made Brandon Graham. It made everybody better, man. They got fresh leg. Yeah. And I think it would be the right move. So I'm with it. Any other positions other than that, or a defensive end maybe that you have in mind?
No. But real quick, man, I want to thank you for having me on. I might have to skate out a little bit to take my wife to work. So, but I definitely appreciate you having me on. But awesome. Real quick, outside of what we already discussed from linebacker, DB, defensive end, backup quarterback is big.
I was going to mention that too, Pete. Yep.
Backup quarterback is huge.
Hurts no work. And then you still got, you got Sudfeld. Oh.
Sudfeld. Is it Sudfeld or Sudfield?
It's Sudfeld. Mm-hmm.
It's Sud who doesn't see the field that often.
Right.
So I don't know, man. Listen, Jesus, I need you to stay healthy.
How about it?
Forever.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I need you to get injected with anti-adium or whatever Wolverine had. I know I probably messed up the word for my Marvel heads out there. Antimanium. Is that how you say it? Whatever Wolverine had. Yeah, there you go. So I need you to get confused with that, so you just heal quickly or become immortal or something, so that way we don't have to hear it. You know what I mean?
I love it. Pete, thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. Check him out, guys, on Birds of a Feather, and hopefully we'll have you on again, man.
Yep, later, Pete.
I just also made the Greg Ward. Greg Ward is a kid I love, man, and I wanted him to make the team over Mac Hollins last year, and I was pissed off when he didn't, and thank God Mac went to the Dolphins, and we brought him back, but it's like, what the hell's going on that Boston Scott and Greg Ward aren't making an injury-riddled team, and but I like Greg Ward, man, which Pryor was saying, and I think, hopefully he steps it up, but he's got some competition now, but there's question marks everywhere. But that quarterback, man, okay. That's a very big question because, we're the quarterback factory. We've got Kyle Lauletta. We've got Jalen Hurts. We've got Nate Sudfeld. Now, I love Carson Wentz. We all love Carson Wentz, but we got to pray to God that he stays healthy. If not, oh, dear God. Nate Sudfeld, they clearly did not have any confidence in because Josh McCown, Old Man River, was literally playing over him in the playoff game. So, and throughout the end of the season there, he was dressing and, Sudfeld was healthy, man. He had broken his hand early in the season. That's why McCown came in. But Sudfeld's made it clear he wants to start somewhere. I don't think that's ever going to happen because he can't even be our backup. So I agree with Pete on that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Ralph. What do you think about this? I mean,
about the whole quarterback situation and Nate Sudfeld. It's glaring because you would think that, if Nate Sudfeld was the backup, was the guy behind Carson Wentz, then why wasn't he not out in Seattle? Against Seattle in the playoff game, but Josh McCown was. So you got to look at that, weirdly and think, you can pipe the dude up all you want, but if he's not out there in a playoff game against Seattle, and maybe it was just, the the experience wasn't there, and it was, going through the motion and stuff like that. But dude's been with the team for almost 4 years now?
Yeah,
almost as long as Carson has in some ways. So, the whole Nate Sudfeld thing, not going to playoff game is very weird to me. Even though you piped them up for 3 years and said that, I could see this guy being a starter on an NFL starting or on an NFL team. Well, you didn't have any confidence in that wild card game because he wasn't out on the field.
I think they're trying to trick people, right, Ralph? They're just like pulling people's chain.
Maybe they pipe the dude up and then something happens. They're like, oh well, we got Nate Sudfeld.
Did you guys see?
We traded Sam Bradford for.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, hey, look, Sam Bradford's kid.
Yeah, Sam. I mean, he might be better than Sam, Minnesota.
Oh my God!
Could you imagine?
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah,
for a first. I mean, Jesus.
Oh, I'd be doing.
And it's so funny because you're right. Because it's like they made it such a big thing. He's the guy. He's not the guy. Exactly. McCown plays over you in Seattle. No, or in Philly, but against Seattle.
Did he even? Another question was, did he even dress?
No, he wasn't. No,
he didn't even dress for the game.
He wasn't dressing the whole end of the year. He was getting benched for Josh McCown.
If he's the guy, and if you're piping him up for 3 to 4 years, and he's not even dressed for a playoff game, let alone in the regular season, to back up your franchise guy, then maybe he isn't the guy.
And as much as it's a knock to draft Hurts, as people say, oh, what a knock on Wentz, what a punch in the face that is the Sudfeld. Like, bruh, yeah, you're definitely not a starter. So you screwed our trade value on him. Everyone knows he sucks. Can't beat out McCown. It's like, all right, I love McCown, but come on, let's get real here. You should be able to beat him out, dude. Now, what were your thoughts on that, Jake? You kind of mentioned, like, oh, yeah, good point. What are you thinking there? Kyle Lauletta, is he the guy you're bringing up from the practice squad? Or?
I really forgot we had Kyle Lauletta.
Yeah, what did you?
But it's one of those things where it feels like after Doug said that Sudfeld will be the number 2 and Hurts would be the number 3, it feels like that person above you just joined a new job and the person ahead of you has that seniority. He doesn't add anything to the team or it doesn't add anything like that, but it's just the fact that he's been here longer, right? So it makes no sense to me. But again,
agreed, Brian. Agreed. If he was that dude that they're piping up out, you don't take Jalen Hurts at 53. I agree with that, Brian.
Exactly.
I totally agree.
That's a big punch in the face to him. You know what I mean? Like that's everyone talking about Carson, but that's a drop kick.
Yeah, that's a major drop kick. But it's one of those things where people are like, "Oh, you're not going to see Jalen Hurts for probably 2 to 4 years or whatever." But you'll see him this season.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're near the halfway point.
As much as some Eagles fans are gonna hate to see Jalen Hurts on the field and stuff like that, and they don't want him on the field. You use the 2nd round pick on him. He has to step on the field, whether you like it, whether it's Wildcat,
I think you'll definitely see a little something,
or in some gadget. You're not gonna see him. 95% of the snaps next to Carson the whole time.
Yeah, he's not going to be Taysom Hill running across the middle getting his head knocked off. You'll see some trickery, though. I definitely agree with that. I think you don't use a 2nd round pick on that just to do that.
Joseph had this comment about Jason Peters. He says, do you think it would be easier for JP to stay healthy at right guard?
I think it's going to be a tough task, man.
Just because he's 38 and he has so much tread on the tires.
And moving over to that side, a completely different – he's going to have to change his muscle memory, all that, man. That's going to be tough to see, man.
As a guy that, love Andre Dillard, I think having JP at right guard will do him good to stay healthy-wise because he's got Lane Johnson right next to him, right?
That works. Him and Kelsey next to him.
And so he's right in the middle. So you have Kelsey, you have Peters, and then Lane Johnson. I mean, that right side right there.
I love that.
It's looking good, right? And then also you have the future Hall of Famer Dillard at left tackle, and then you have Isaac at left guard. So I mean, the line's looking great. But for that question I agree. I think hopefully he stays healthy. But does he pull himself out of the game after 5 snaps? We'll see.
Yeah, let's hope not. But it's like, at least we have that depth now, and we're not relying on him. We have Dillard as our left tackle. Pryor can play right guard if something happens. So this gives us the ability to just really, at least feel a little better about the line, because we were talking differently last week about it. So what are your thoughts on that, Jake?
It's one of those things to where I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the depth. But to me, I think it's one of those things, too, to where you said it, Jimmy, to where obviously it's going to take a lot, like, because obviously he has to change his muscle memory and stuff like that, and I completely get that. But I think it's one of these things to where Peters has known about this for a while, because as soon as Brooks went down, I can guarantee you, be like, listen, we'll give you like a couple months, train at right guard, and then we'll sign you once we think the time's right. So knowing Jason Peters, he already knows what to do. He's been doing it for so long. He's been doing it so good for so long. He's going to be a future first ballot Hall of Famer. If he's not, it's a disgrace. But it's what I can think, though. One of these things that popped in my head. Just imagine, theoretically, everyone just imagine. People have been clamoring for Peters, like, just to kind of like move on, retire for a while. Just imagine, right? He stays healthy this season, has an All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber season, and he just ends his career another 2 years.
Dude, that'd be awesome, man. If anyone could do it, the man's a magical man. He's moved all over that line. We talked about it: tight end, right tackle, left tackle, now right guard. Like, we talked about this. If anything, we thought maybe he'd come to play left guard and move Sayamalu over. But hey, and like Ralphie just said, maybe that confidence in having Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey right there, it's going to make him feel a little tougher. Be like, I got this, man. He's going to come out and whoop some ass. We all know he's a tough dude. He is the bodyguard. So I'm pretty excited about it. I saw a comment by a Joseph, and he said something about Miles Sanders being in the 8 to 14. I think that's a good average draft position. It depends on what kind of draft you're in, but you're going to see a couple wide receivers going in there too. So, we've talked about it. He's within the 5 to 7, maybe 8 range of running backs. I think it could be really surprising this year. So I like that 8 to 14. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, and a PPR.
What do you guys think of that?
Absolutely.
Well, and especially in PPR, it could be a little higher.
It adds its value that much more in a PPR.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd take a little higher.
Top 10 in a PPR league
for sure. Yep.
So
I'd say under 8, right? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And we talked about that during the fantasy episode, and that was a really great episode. We got to talk a little bit about what we thought, about some of the other teams and stuff. But we've got some great young talent, and but that's kind of why we're so scared, though, because it's like, yeah, they're great, they're young, and it's like, well, young guys, let's see what you've learned this year. Let's see what we're allowed to be scared. We're allowed to want depth, and I think adding someone like JP was a very smart move. So let's keep being smart and get us a linebacker. Let's get us a running back. Mm-hmm. Whatever you can do, please, God, get us somebody. Because I really feel that those could become issues. And not so much running back, because if Miles Sanders stays healthy, I think this running back by committee is great. But he has to stay healthy. Now, when you're looking at the linebackers, I think even if they're healthy, you still have some damn question marks. You know what I mean? So that's more of the scary one to me. And then Terrace, I thought you said something earlier about, do we need a running back?
Yeah. So do you guys think we need a bruising running back? I believe we do.
Remember last week, I had the luxury of having you two gentlemen on last week, and I love what you had to say. And, Tom brought up, in this offense, maybe we're trying, Ralphie agreed, and we all kind of agreed, trying to be more like a Kansas City Chiefs kind of team, a lot of zone running. That's what we do, especially with Scangarello coming in here. So maybe not necessarily need a running back that's like that, but I think we will have one, because if you remember when we won the Super Bowl, it was Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. So we do like to pound a little bit. It's going to be Miles and Boston getting a little taste of that. But is Clement going to be able to cement his role? Because a guy like Michael Warren is a bruiser, but he can also catch the ball. Maybe we'll see how he pass protects and stuff, but he can run and catch. So if you get a guy that can work in this offense, he can zone run and he can catch. I mean, you're set there. So Elijah Holyfield's got some competition there. And that Adrian Killins, he is fantastic to watch on tape. Sure, you want to say, oh, it needs muscle. He's too small. Come on, guys. We're talking about a team that's had Darren Sproles and Mark McMillan. We know anybody can step it up, but there's no offseason. So a lot of these guys are going to be practice squad guys. So we can be pumped about it, playing Madden and, excited about that. But in real life, there's going to be a lot of question marks coming up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree. And we touched on it last week with the whole running back situation. The poll last week was, if Miles goes down and you're comfortable, and majority have said, well, we ain't comfortable with what's behind Miles. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a coma nap for how many ever weeks he's out, because I can't do this stuff anymore. Because every week in the last few years, it's just, now this guy's out. Now this guy's out. And before this season even started, Brandon Brooks. That's like, oh, you said.
Yeah. Well, and you saw it. You saw it last year too against Atlanta, right? First snaps for Deshaun, he was done. Not even warm-ups for Dallas Goedert. Gone. Even before the game started, he couldn't play. And the same thing with Alshon. So, the injuries got to stop, right? Hopefully, another year, new medical staff.
Yep.
So
we changed everything.
Hopefully something can switch up here for the Philadelphia Eagles coming into the near future.
Great point, Ralph. Bringing in a new medical staff, we're doing everything, so you can't blame the Eagles. Like, they are really trying to take the steps. And Brandon Brooks, man, this guy has been making some amazing recoveries. A little too fast, maybe.
It sucks, man.
So, but isn't that why we've all talked about why the Eagles needed to add an emphasis also on interior offensive linemen in this draft? And they didn't do that. And then you see what happens, and it's like, oh, you got to be – like, when I got that news, I'm like, this isn't real, right? They're supposed to be quarantined. I know they're working out. What's he doing? Yeah. Running cones, and out on like the 8th out of 10 of them, he freaking tears something. It's like, come on, man. It just hurt a pop, he said. And it's like, oh, like, I feel so horrible for the guy. But, in the long run, and I'm not, because, dude, I'm a very big advocate for people, struggle with mental health and all that stuff. But on the bright side of things, if you're looking at anything good from this, from a guy that's a little more standoffish, you're now replacing him and bringing in a guy that's a leader, a proven veteran leader. And I think that's why when we talked about bringing JP back, that was one of the biggest emphasis I would make on anything. The fact that he's in this locker room, especially when you lose someone, Brandon Brooks, people are probably already like, son of a, so now they're going to be excited. Like, holy, I get excited seeing Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey. That's exciting. Even if he's learning new position, I can't wait.
All on one side. On one side.
Yep. And isn't that exciting? So at least we have something to be a little more excited about. The team's going to be a little more excited. They wanted JP back. You saw people comment on all his stuff when he made that video. And the fans want it too. He's the guy that's going to go punch someone in the face if they're messing with Carson, Yep. So that's not going to be Brooks. I mean, he'll stand up for him, but it's a different beast we're talking about here. Like, that's our bodyguard, man. And I'm excited, and he adds that depth that we talked about, man. So, you get a guy that's versatile. He's moved all around, So, hey, if anybody, you heard Brian Baldinger say it. You heard a bunch of guys that, Trey Thomas, guys that know a lot more than me. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give him the chance. And it made me excited. Now, what it doesn't make is, and I've seen this question asked a few times, because people are like, that's not the big news, right? And I had people all week like, dude, no, it's not the big news. I'm telling you. And I'm like, bro, I'm going to show you the message from an Eagles beat reporter, literally what sucked was when that news came out, Brian Baldinger, I was like, oh, here we go. Because you know how that goes. All it takes is the Eagles may, or they may not, sign someone big this week. And L.A. Short Park's got an article, and everybody's like, oh, my God, the Tyreek Hill's coming. And you're like, what? What? Why? So I thought, this is ridiculous. So I reached out to someone, and I'm like, please, what's going on here? Can you give me anything? And he said, well, it's offensive lineman, but you can't say anything. And I was like, all right, I won't say anything. Well, then when I woke up to that, I'm like, So I messaged him, like, please tell me this isn't the offensive line. Like, this is what you're talking about. And you guys know I want JP back, but I was like, big news, huh? Big news, you say? And then he's like, I'm sorry, man. This is the big news. And I was just like, well, but we talked about it. This is what today's show is about, man. Howie the magician.
Yeah.
He always is down. So I'm still under the impression, just like you guys, I think there could be some moves to be made,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
And, one of the things I mentioned, talking about how Madden, like moving guys around, how easy it is, not easy. It's not like that in real life. Mm-hmm. I saw some things, and I'm going to be real with you. I'm 34 years old. When I was a kid, my friends hated it. Whenever I'd buy Madden, I'd have to sit there and edit all the rosters because these people don't know what they're talking about, the ratings adjusters or whatever. So now that I'm like I'm 34 years old. Now when I see people complaining about it, like, are you kidding me? I'm like, bro, this has been going on since I was a child. These dudes are smoking crack. Like, they have never watched a game of football in their life. They go by who's the most popular, and then, Gronkowski's better than Ertz, apparently. He's a 95, and Ertz is a 90. Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz are the same. Okay. And they're both 84. I think they're both should be better ranked than that. Yeah. But Carson Wentz proved what he's done with nobody, so whatever. Yeah, you saw Slay pissed off, his speed. They got guys that are slow. Miles Sanders can't juke. He's an 80. Darius Nice is an 81. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, dude can't even stay healthy.
And Darius Nice has a higher overall than Miles.
Injury better be a 0, dude. I can't. I literally, because I was like, I'm not going to get that.
Sometimes you look at these ratings, and you're like, damn, dude, does this company hire anybody that actually sits down and actually watch football? Like, come on, man. Jesus Christ. It's Sunday. Can you turn the game on for at least 2 seconds?
We should do that every Sunday. Just tag them. Hey, guys, this is football.
Yeah.
This is where you learn on Sundays. Yeah. And it blows my mind because, like I said, and people were grateful. And this was before. I'd have to bring my memory card with me and stuff. So this is before, you could do all this stuff today. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll buy a new game and I'll upload someone's roster. And even then I'm like, I still got to, and I'll sit there. What I do is I look at the entire roster of the NFL and I go off of what the players are like, who's better than who. And then whatever your roster, and I'm nuts about it. So to see a $1 million company doesn't give a shit, you're like, wait. Are you telling me as a little 10-year-old kid, I was putting more effort into Madden ratings than these assholes? Yeah. I actually started getting mad about it.
Yeah.
I missed that last comment, though. What was that?
Lane was in 89, and he's still the best right tackle in football.
Yeah, dude. The disrespect. There's got to be, haters in that organization, man. They hate us. I mean, everyone does. I love that. What are your guys' feelings? Do you guys play Madden? I mean, what are your...
I'm a big Madden guy. Nice. The local store up here used to have, Madden tournaments before it came out the night before. So I used to go up there and play with the buddies and stuff like that. And I've just been playing Madden since I was born, right? Since I was born. The old Super Nintendo Madden, then obviously, the PS2, then you get the Xbox and stuff like that. So I'm a big Madden guy.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And that was the thing. I played the first Madden. I've been playing from the get, and that's been my thing. That's how I started learning so much about it. Because I played it, but I wanted to know more. I was bringing stuff to my coaches. Are like, what the? And I'm like, I was playing on Madden. They're like, that's a stupid video game. And I'm like, well, there are some things that you get from it. And
the crazy thing is too is that even some teams use some plays from Madden in their offense.
Telling you, and I gave my coach some good stuff, and I'm telling you that it helped me create things, and it helped me understand the game, and then helped me learn every damn player. So that's what kind of pushed me toward broadcasting. My dad was like, dude, I can't listen to these guys anymore. Please, Chris Collinsworth makes me want to jump off a building. My dad hated him. He's probably in his grave right now. Dude, he hated him. I couldn't. And so it's awesome, having Madden was something that I got to play with my brother when I was a kid.
Cheat code, Cheat code, Madden 04. He was a
dude, and that's the thing. Okay, 04. I'm in 11th grade, dude. We're putting money on the table. I'm talking things are getting wild at parties. People are playing Madden at parties. That's how we're talking. Chad Johnson versus Steve Smith. Stuff like that. So those are the prime days of Madden, and I was going hard on Madden for some time. And then as I got a little older, I kind of strayed away. And not to say I didn't love it, I just didn't really have much time. And then a few years ago, I got a little sick. Now, I'm not excited about the fact that I almost died, but it gave me some damn time to sit down and be like, oh, video games. I've missed you so. So I got back into Madden, NBA. I was shooting people in the face with a crossbow and Far Cry, lighting woods on fire, punching elephants. I mean, living the dream. So I'm back into it. My kid's loving Madden. It's helping. I'm able to teach him things. So he comes back to me because Madden is a lot more nuts than when I was used to playing.
Yeah, right.
I can make defensive adjustments. I'm like, people like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it's like, now, luckily online, kids are all used to that. But back in my day, man, people thought I was a weirdo. I don't audible. What's that? And you're like, hey, man, I just am playing the game. Is that really cheating? Understanding the game is cheating. And those people. You cheated. He threw a deep pass, and I didn't know how to put my safety deep. He's cheating. He's cheating. Now, Michael Vick, that guy was cheating. That was always a rule. I'm not playing him, dude. You're not. Nope. You're not the Vick.
If you were, at your buddy's house and you guys were having, just normal games and stuff like that, whenever Madden came out, that was the one team you couldn't use because Michael Vick. It was a cheat code. You couldn't stop him, dude.
Ain't happening.
Couldn't stop him.
Nope. And another one was bullshit. What year was that? I think it was 2008 or something. I remember my buddy, he thought he was going to invite me over because there was one of the years where I didn't own it. I wasn't playing it too much, but I'm like, it's like riding a bike. Give me a break. Yeah. And it was the Vikings. Adrian, I remember that game. Every person I went to tackle him with, he was I was like, what the okay, this is like Michael Vick from 2004, because he was on the cover. So I'm like, give me a fucking break.
Crazy. Yeah.
Spinning, breaking 6 tackles.
Yeah.
That shit was too much, man. I love Madden though. So Jake, you a big fan of yourself? You're saying?
I've been a big Madden guy ever since I was a kid. Same with Ralphie. I used to go to the game store when do like the midnight launches, go with my buddies, stay up till 3-4 o'clock in the morning when Madden came out, like just drink soda and just be stupid 13-year-olds and stay up all night and play Madden. Those were the what do you call it? As crazy as it sounds.
The good old days, dude.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly.
You didn't have to care about nothing, right? You went to your GameStop or at that time EB Games, whatever whatever you had, right? Whatever was local to you. You got your Madden, you came home, and you might have skipped school the next day, but it was for good calls.
I did. My buddies and I were like crackheads. We wouldn't go to bed. We'd be playing. We got to try every team. All right, 3 randoms. All right.
3 randoms,
Yep. I feel like that's weird. Like, I always was like, dude, I feel like we created that. You know, every friendship always says that. Like, no. And it's like, oh, my God. Like, that's how – and I love that stuff, man, because, like, we're talking about way back, man, and it's like, oh my God, McNabb and 05. Yeah, dude, those play like we had T.O. Remember that year? Like it was finally fun in Madden. Be like, I'm not throwing to Todd Pinkston who's gonna drop this wide open pass.
No, like
Freddie Mitchell, you got to dump them all off to Westbrook. That was the only play.
The Eagles was one of the teams you could use, right? Because you had T.O. You just toss it up to T.O. the whole time.
Yeah, that made me. I couldn't wait. I was like, you're dead. You're all dead. I've got McNabb. Westbrook, oh, you're done, dude. Even Chad Lewis was throwing down because they'd be covering everybody else. Oh, man. L.J. Smith even. He looked much better in Madden than he did in real life. I can tell you that much. Oh, my God. Yeah. Remember NFL Blitz? I just saw Don coming through, man. I loved NFL Blitz.
NFL Streets was pretty cool, too.
That was one where my nephew, I was a little older, but yep, I liked that. That was cool.
Loved NFL Street.
Blitz was a little before the time, but I think Street was a little cooler because my nephew had it, and Ricky Williams was like on the front or something.
Yeah.
I remember that, man.
Yeah. Dante Culpepper.
I remember for some reason Levon Kirkland from the Steelers for some reason. Was he on the front of Blitz or something? Oh, man.
Yeah.
What's funny is I can't remember what the hell I did last week, but I can remember something from 25 years ago. Selective thinking, man. I don't give a shit about life when it comes to football. It's like,
dude, I can't even remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone
real brain damage, man. But it's like all good with football. That's weird. Oh, dude. And Madden, that's one of those things I think when I was younger, it helped me like keep my mind fresh with football. You know what I mean? Like I always knew who everybody was, what was going on. It's like, oh no, man. Now it's like they update that stuff. So it's like, whew.
And
like,
you know, you sit there, you know, through the past years and like up until now, I always found myself like, dude, this game is god awful. I hate it. I can't play this shit no more. I'm not getting it next year. But once July in August comes and you start getting the trailers, you're like, all right, we're in. Let's get it.
That looks like the best Madden. Best Madden yet.
Best Madden ever. Got the great engines. I'll put my $60 aside and we're good to go.
Yeah,
and it always brings you back. No matter how bad it is, they always get you to come back, man.
Yeah, they do.
Always get you.
Son of a and what the crazy thing for me was when I first came back into playing, I didn't know anything about this whole like my team or whatever it's called, like Ultimate Team or something like that. Yeah. And in like 17 when I started playing it, dude, I was like, oh geez, it was straight nostalgia for me, dude. It was like Eric Allen was in it, like I had Cunningham, then I had McNabb. I was like, what the like as a kid, you got to remember these guys look like Roblox characters when I'm playing Madden. So now I'm like, oh my god. So I've tried that out for that year, and that was really cool. I'd like to try that out again sometime, but that was really fun being able to play with old players and stuff like that. I had Reggie. Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Madden 21 has the worst thumbs up down voting I've ever seen. Well, that's what's crazy. Every year, like Ralphie just said, we're all like, F you, we're boycotting.
We're boycotting.
And then we're buying it.
For this game.
And we buy it.
You start seeing the commercials and the graphics. You're like, I don't know, dude. I might.
You think about that new rookie you got. You're like, ooh, he's gonna look good on that team.
Yeah, right.
It says right when the NFL draft comes and goes, you're like, oh, dude, I can't wait to use this dude in Madden next year. He's gonna.
That's it. Yep,
that's it. Wait,
that's what I thought about Rieger. I was like, he's like having Tyreek Hill. But then they said he has 92 speed. I'm like, oh, apparently we're watching a different guy. I didn't know. But hey, that's good. We can shove it down their throats now. You know what I mean? Let them hate. I see this guy going through some names here, some offensive greats, some of the linemen, man, I grew up watching, Runyon and Trey Thomas. Jake, you're awesome for allowing me to come on and have that interview with you to talk to Trey Thomas, someone I grew up watching and learning from. Hank Fraley, Jamal Jackson, I just talked to the other day about some really cool stuff. And I was like, hey, you think we could do an interview any day? Come on my show. He was like, well, maybe one day when stuff settles down and there's some football. I was like, I understand you want to talk about crazy stuff. I'm like, but we keep it football, man. We're all about it. And he was like, oh, we'll definitely keep it in mind. So hopefully one day we can get him on here. But dude, I love the names you're throwing out there. And then you went defense, Javon Curse, dude, the freak. I mean, that's how we made it to the Super Bowl that year. Adding T.O. and the freak. Woo! You remember the excitement that year? God damn, 04 was amazing. Like, that was one of the best years of my life. Like, I thought we're winning it, man. And for T.O. to come back on a broken leg, that was it was like, here it is. It's a fairy tale. But, of course, that was the first time that we really know of the Patriots really cheating, because that was a big thing the next year. And a lot of people don't know that, they accused them like, these dudes were definitely stealing our play calling and our practice stuff. And, it wasn't a big deal at that time. But then after that, they started getting caught for stuff. And then they kind of just were like, well, it was just the Eagles. So who gives a shit if they cheated them out of a Super Bowl? It's only a Super Bowl. Like, and I know you guys probably are the same way, but I'm telling you, dude, like I'm talking hate. And hate is a strong word. But I hate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And I have every year for that moment on. And like, I disliked them, but I hated them. So the fact that we got to be the last team to ever beat them in a Super Bowl is probably one of the most joyous feelings in my heart every time I say it. Yep. Think about it. Look at that. Like every day I need to see that trophy because you'll never take that away from me. And we want more, yes, but we beat Tom Brady. We got to come back and beat those same assholes that cheated us out of it. Doesn't get much better in this story, Foles and all that. That was shit in my pants. Ray Lewis. Oh, that's 08. Okay, yeah. And then I remember the one with Polamalu and Fitzgerald. That was a good one. I love that.
Yep. That was 10.
I think the last one was Peyton Hillis. That like one of the last years where I took a break. I think that was one of the last ones. He fell right off. God. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. Had a great year. Great year with Cleveland, and then it just like who's this dude?
Straight down. It was.
You want to talk about a Madden curse? My God.
Yeah. Oh, so it just say quarterback vision. That's a curse. That quarterback vision was a curse in itself. I'm running this way. Look at this way. Oh,
I couldn't figure it out in my life.
I wanted to punch the screen.
I hated it.
Oh, that's great, Taylor. Great point. Jesus. Yeah, and then Corey Simon, Darwin Walker. Yeah, let's not forget some of those bad boys, man. Hell yeah. Trent Cole. Come on now, the Hunter. Love that, man. Hearing Dougie P was running fake practices, the best thing in the Super Bowl. Yes. Was it not? Because you knew they were cheating. So we knew that as a cheating team, we had to prepare for that. That's Doug. I want to see those balls again, dude. I want to see those smarts where you're like, you know what? Let's think outside the box. Let's go beat some ass. This is our team. Because I was talking to my girlfriend earlier today, and it's like, they're talking about the Chiefs are the next dynasty. Yo, F you, bro. You have to go through us. It's going to be Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader. Doug Peterson versus Big Red Andy Reid. And I'm going to be real with you. Luke's winning this one because we have Carson Wentz, and if these guys can grow around him, and if we have a good draft next year, which is scary as hell to say that, but if we can add more weapons around him, if Deshaun and Alshon stay healthy, if some of these guys, I think we're going to have a great year because you saw what Carson did without any receivers. So I think he'll have a much better year, and I think it could be definitely the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And I was saying, wouldn't it be great for the Eagles and Chiefs to become like the Cowboys and Steelers of old, where it used to be AFC, NFC rivals because they actually made it to the Super Bowl a lot. Yeah. Let's make that a tradition where it's Andy versus Doug. You know what I mean? Like we won it first, Andy. I want to let you know. So we're coming back for it, dude. Like I just really feel that I want to see Carson versus Patrick very, very badly. And I think, it's going to light a fire under his ass because you guys know the hate that he gets. Like, we laugh at it because it's like, okay, dude, you saw what Dak did with all kinds of weapons, and then you saw what Carson did with absolutely no one. So that's cute. Alshon interview. Trash an interview. What do you think of the weather? The game is indoors. Great interview. What are you talking about? The Alshon
when he was at the Super Bowl, when they were doing the media day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love that, dude. And they were ready for that stuff. And it's like, that's what leadership is all about, getting those guys ready. Yeah. And I mean, that was talking about it makes me just so joyous, dude. Like, I still can't believe we got that, dude. Oh, yeah. Most exciting. Oh, yeah. It was literally, all right, obviously we all waited for our lives to see something like that. It's going to be exciting, but it's like, that's what we waited for, man. And we heard so many jokes, so much. We get it worse than any fan base. Everybody hates us because we're the most passionate. But it's like, you know, to finally get it, it's just, I can't explain it to you, man. Like, I've lost a bunch of family that were waited their whole lives and never saw it. So it's like, that was a moment for me that was like, whoo, you guys know. It all meant something to all of us, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Whew. I love that, dude, though. They can never take that from us. No more cellophane cigarette jokes. That made I wanted to punch people in the face for that. Going through some names of Broncos running backs, it's looking like here. Terrell Davis, Landis Gary, Mike Anderson, and Reuben Jones. I love it, man. When I think of old Madden, I don't know why, but one of the first Maddens, I remember always having Tim Biaka Batuka and Natron Means on my team for running backs. I don't know why. I think I just thought the names were hilarious, but Panthers and Jaguars running backs. Wild times, man. What's the Eagles' prediction record? Well, Don, we've said that a couple times. It really, you know, it's obviously hard for us to say anything about anything like that at this time. But if you want us to say anything, I think if this team stays healthy, they could be one of the most dominant teams. But we got a very, very tough schedule. So, you know, I think a good season would be 11 wins, and I think we could definitely get 11 and possibly 12 if, you know, we stay healthy. But we got a tough schedule. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right at 11. Like with me, we go 9-7 again at worst, but I think we go 11. I have us at 11.
Like it, Ralphie?
I'm gonna stay in the 10-11 range as well. I think just how the division is shaping out to be right now, Giants don't scare me, and Washington doesn't scare me at all. So I think it's just a two-headed race right now, two-team race, excuse me, between us and Dallas. But right now I have the Eagles at least between 10 and 11 wins.
I love it. Yeah. And, you know, that's the thing. Like, maybe we'd be talking about a higher record, and we had a show about this, guys. You know, we've all talked about this, but it's like we got a damn tough schedule. Some of the most elite pass rushers, and we're going to have our hands full this year. So I can't wait. But this is going to, you know, we talked about it. It's like, hey, this is a schedule that builds a champion. You know, if you want to be the Super Bowl champion, then you got to beat the best. So let's find out. Taylor, I also ran outside and freezing. Nothing mattered at that moment. Like, that was pure joy. If the Lions win the Super Bowl, yes, it will be the end of the world.
They placed the first round, Don.
And thank you for Darius Slay, man. I love you, though.
Yeah.
We love you for that one. Tanking for Trevor. No. Maybe the Redskins will do that. Sam Congato. Yeah, man. I remember him. Hell yeah. Flew home from Germany to watch a game in South Philly. Love that. My dad and my buddy. Stayed home. Nice. Yeah, I was at that parade. That was another one. The parade, it was just like, you guys know, like, if you were there, even watching on TV, it was just seas of people. Like, there's a little sea here, little baby oceans of love just everywhere you went. And it was one of the most magical moments of my life. The kid skipped school, me and my woman got to meet up with my brother. Like, it was one of the best days. And, you know, that Super Bowl, obviously, all of it, you know, and I remember I got like one of those time hop things the other day, and it was just like, I cannot wait to start next year and say the defending Super Bowl champion. Because that was a great year to finally be like, ha assholes. And, you know, it's, yeah, man. And that's something, Joseph, that's awesome. You know, when my father was alive, that was something we did. I did anything I could. You know, it was no matter where I was in life, I was always watching those damn games. It's something, that's what it brings, dude, brotherly love, man. It's a family. You don't even have to be blood to be family, man. We love our birds and we die for our birds, man. So I'm glad to have you guys here, but we are almost coming up on 2 hours, which is wild as hell. I see a comment about Amon Green. That's hilarious. Do you remember when we brought in Dorsey Levens at the end of his career, the Eagles? Remember when he was on here?
I think so.
Another old Packers running back that used to be there with Amon Green. Wow, you're really making me think back here, Brian. Some old school stuff. Barry, now let's get real here, Philip. If the Lions were ever going to win, they should have done with Barry. And then they had another all-time great at wide receiver with Megatron. So screw them. One time when I was a kid, the Eagles played the Lions, and I grew up loving Barry. I mean, we all did. He was the best running back ever in my mind. And I screamed at him. And he waved at me, and I literally thought it was the coolest thing. I told everyone in school for probably the next 5 years, they're like, who cares that Barry Sanders waved at you? And I'm like, it was Barry Sanders. Like, but that guy was so amazing. So Don, that must, at least you got to watch him. You know, that's awesome to have someone like that. But you feel bad. You know what? He played 9 years. The guy should have played 15,
9 years.
20.
And I'll tell you what, Detroit didn't help him out one bit.
Who is it? Mitchell at quarterback? Oh, dude.
It was atrocious out there in Detroit. Atrocious.
They had David Akers. Yeah, Akers went there. He went to the Niners, too, after leaving us.
Yeah.
Antonio Freeman, another Packer turned Eagle. Yeah, remember that Antonio Freeman catch where he is on the ground and it flies up and then he catches it? That was a wild one. Brady and Belichick, that's right, Taylor. That's what made it best for me. Ricky Watters, a good one from the Niners. Love it. Harry, Jim Brown. Yeah, see, and that's something my dad was always like, oh, Jim Brown. And I didn't watch those guys. I've seen highlight films, but I can't say that. You know what I mean? I watched Barry. And I've seen people like LaDainian Tomlinson. I grew up in an era, Larry Johnson and him were dominating people, and I've seen Adrian Peterson. So I've seen some damn good running backs, but Barry made you just, with the team, like Ralph said, they gave him no one.
Yeah.
Literally no one.
Didn't help him out at all.
Nope. But we're running up time here, guys. I want you guys to take a second here. Jake, why don't you go first and just give these guys where they can find you throughout the week, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so obviously I got my show tomorrow, the weekly roundup tomorrow. Me and Steve gonna have a big show tomorrow. Gonna be talking about the craziness that is the Washington Football Organization. Still the Redskins on Twitter, but which they said they were retiring their name, but they're still the Redskins on Twitter. Anyway, I'm gonna go on.
It's such a horrible organization.
I love it. From top to bottom, it's a mess. You go from the name change, then you go from allegations, and now Jay Gruden's involved, and the whole organization's involved. The play-by-play,
burning down.
We're gonna dive into all of it tomorrow. It's gonna be the main gist of the show. Then obviously tomorrow we're gonna be talking about whether Dak's future is in Dallas after this season, and obviously we'll have an interview tomorrow, so that should be fun. So
yeah, and that was one of the things. Why don't you throw us a little nugget there? That was one of the things I wanted to get to tonight. We didn't get to, but didn't get a long-term deal done with the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott now with the situation looking like
he's bad on himself, Jimmy,
and he signed that thing way too early. He could have literally sat out, made things easier for himself, but instead now he's got to play, risk it all on a one-year deal.
That's what we've been saying this from Jump Street. You waited too long, Jerry, because once Mahomes got signed and Watson's coming up, you ain't paying him that money, Jerry. He ain't getting that money, man, no matter what.
Exactly. So it's beautiful. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, wasted time. I said the same thing when Mahomes got signed. I said, Cowboys and Dak, we're going to see Andy Dalton sooner rather than later, baby. I'm pumped about that. Ralph, why don't you let the people know you are a wonderful producer. Where else can we find you?
Yeah, so I produce Jimmy's show, produce a couple other shows here for A2D, and then also on Wednesday nights with Tommy, Greg, Ryan, and Frank. Usually start at 8, maybe 9, maybe even 10:30 sometimes on Wednesday night. But real quick, got a little plug for Andy's show tomorrow in this very ring. Andy just put out their ballots for the Extreme Rules event for Sunday's pay-per-view. If you go to Facebook, go to In This Very Ring, their show page, fill out the bracket. If you win the ballot, you get to be on their show next week, which is pretty cool. So go ahead and do that.
It's a good idea. Love that. Yeah. And dude, if you guys aren't following A2D, I don't know where the hell you've been. You must be lost at sea. But there is a plethora of great shows on this, from football to soccer to badminton. Now we don't have badminton yet. We have all kinds of shows, and check us out, guys. I'm telling you, take over talk, because we're bringing you what you want and need. I love all of you. Thank you so much, Jake, Ralph, Pete, for joining me tonight. I love you guys. But to everybody else, I hope you're all having a safe weekend. Social distance, keep your mask on. Let's get this done right so we can get some damn football back. I love you all. I hope you have a great weekend, though. And we will see you next week. Same place, same time. As always.